All right. Good afternoon. It is now 2 p.m. and we'll call the Gaming Advisory Board meeting to order to review applications and presentations from the various applicants this evening. Since there's no real work here, there's no business from the public government applications, etc. Latoya?
Correct. The only things to be held are the hearings for the different applications.
So whenever the city of Harrisburg is ready. Good afternoon. How are y'all doing?
Good.
So just get a few things, some ground rules going here. You have approximately 30 minutes for your presentation. I know that you received some questions in advance tonight, or this evening or afternoon, rather. It's no sunshine. I can't figure out what time it is. But I'll set a timer for 25 minutes because we have many more applicants coming after you. So if you hear this timer go off, that means we need to wrap things up. From time to time, we may interject just to try to get some answers to some questions to hopefully benefit our ability to review your application. But that said, whenever you're ready to start, please take it away.
Before we start, I'm share with you, our problem is the grant writer for the city of Harrisburg, who is doing this presentation, she's not here yet. And I'm the director of public works, and the business administrator is also to come. I will see either.
Okay, so do we know if any of the applicants for 2:30 are here yet?
I did. Was anybody out there with you? If they were, okay.
Okay, I can check.
I'll check.
I don't know if our chairman mentioned it, but before you get started, you could tell us your names and your positions, so we know who's presenting.
I'm not presenting to the community side.
Are you with the applicant then? With the city of Harrisburg? Okay.
So one is here. Do you want to come back?
That's up to the
Do
city.
you want to wait for Rebecca?
Yes, please.
Yes, okay, yeah, so we're gonna,
I'm gonna make
you
some
can, you're
calls.
one, well, okay,
You
but
can-
if you wanted to scoot down, you can,
Yeah,
and
you
we'll
just-
just come in.
I'm gonna make some calls.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Wild heart.
Expecting Rebecca. I'm sure Christine. They're both coming.
You guys are skipping the city attorney versus yours.
All right, we'll try this again. So if you could identify yourselves when you start your presentation. Additionally, we have a lot of presentations that are coming tonight, right? So you have, I think you're sharing this with Helping Hands, so you really get about 15 minutes or so.
Wow.
Excuse me?
Wow, I had a lot of hard mentions.
You're a wild card, but your presentation time is shared with the Handles Helping Hand Foundation. So there's a total of 30 minutes within that time slot. You get 50% of it. So I will set a timer for about 12 minutes, right? So if you hear that going off, we need to wrap things up so that we can keep on our schedule so that everybody has a fair chance to get their presentations to you, right? So that said, if you would identify yourselves and take it away.
My name is Tanner Herman. I'm the Executive Director of Wildfire.
Christina Herman, the managing director as well.
And probably the easiest way to begin our presentation is we shared a video with Ms. Nakamura. We can share that and I'll take it from there. What you're going to see is a promotional video describing our project and its impact inside the community.
I'm gonna show you how I afforded this
Not the
car.
YouTube commercial, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance.
It's crazy to think 11 years ago, Christine and I, we moved here into Harrisburg, really having no clue, no idea of where we were, what we were getting ourselves into, and to see how that has grown and matured and what we're all talking about today is just a phenomenal story. And so when we got started, everything began around the table with our neighbors. You know, we just sat down and we shared meals and we made conversation and we dreamt about the future of our community. We talked about the problems that we faced, and it all began with something so simple as picking up trash around our neighborhood. That has morphed now, and our focus inside the community can be said very simply. We work together with our neighbors, with volunteers from around the country to help rebuild, restore, and revive the neighborhood of Allison Hill.
We rebuild by providing affordable housing and economic development to our community. We restore the community through our beautification projects and removing of light and trash. And then we revive the community through the Hill Farm. And it's very simple. We're providing that fresh produce in a food desert, and we're also educating the community. In Allison Hill, there are over 800 abandoned homes. And meanwhile, there's a huge need for our community to have affordable housing. Post the pandemic, everybody knows the housing market went crazy, and that deeply affected our community in a very tangible way.
So the Harrisburg Housing Authority, our mission is to provide safe and affordable housing to our residents. In the wait list, we have approximately over 2,500 residents and families. They're on the wait list with approximately 3 months to 2 years wait time to get to a unit.
One of the reasons why we are finding such an increase in the need is because of fair market rental rates, right? So there is no legislation, there's no cap on if I own a property, I can put rent at whatever amount I would like. The minimum wage in Pennsylvania is $7.25. And on average, someone would need to work 145 hours per week in order to afford the rent rates that we are currently seeing in the region.
You know, with the rent and just people just hope affordability, just trying to find houses that they can afford. It's not good in our community. I mean, I can tell you that firsthand.
It's a very desperate place where you don't have housing. I've never been in that, but I can only imagine like somebody showing up and saying, hey, you gotta be out, and we don't have options. And so the options that are available are very subpar to what you and I would ever want to live in. And yet that's what they have available, and so they're scared to have conversations with landlords or do anything to be maybe kicked out and be on the streets. We've walked into people's homes, and the quality of rentals around here is astonishing. You'll see like drywall falling apart. We met a couple that was literally living in a house with no running water.
When we discovered just how great the need was for housing inside of our community, there's just no way for us at Wildheart to sit around and say, somebody needs to do something, you know, and figure out what's going on. We just said, okay, what do we have to do? How do we get involved? And so we spent years talking with other people who are working in this industry, speaking with neighbors, talking with city officials, saying, we want to be a part of the solution, but we don't know exactly how to do that. And so the conclusion of that was, it's time for us to put some skin in the game. So we created the Harrisburg Community Development Corporation as a solution to start breaking ground inside the community, providing opportunities for our neighbors to live in safe, clean, affordable homes. The Gateway is the first project of many projects that we've lined out ahead of us called the Lifelines. So the Gateway is a mixed-use development that's going to be constructed right at the corner of South 13th and Market Streets, just a few blocks from where we're located here at the mansion. And this development is actually going to provide 9 residential units, all at affordable rates for neighbors inside of our community, as well as first-level commercial spaces. We hope to pack that place out with local vendors, people who are going to add value and bring services into the community to really speak to the momentum of what we're seeing take place inside this neighborhood.
The thing that excites me the most about this particular development project is that it is in the heart of where it's needed. Doing this work as long as I have seen investors really cherry pick about where they wanted to go. So they would see this as an opportunity to build something, but they wouldn't do it if there's in the market.
It's been over 20, 30 years or more that area has been vacant. And so Wild Heart taking the initiative to do that is tremendous.
We've actually managed to make it possible for our neighbors to purchase these units at $100,000 to $150,000 below market value to ensure that our neighbors are the ones living inside of these homes.
Tengo 3 hijos y sería mi primer hogar con ellos, un techo, donde yo sé que voy a pagar pues, pero va a ser para mí un futuro, no sería para rentar y sería un dinero que yo no voy a ver al final, que no significa que voy a estar sacando a mis hijos en renta, sería un hogar para darle a mis hijos y pues de verdad que yo estoy bien agradecida con eso.
We've spent countless hours working on this project, working with our housing committee, working with our neighbors in order to dream for this project to come to life. And in the middle of that, we still have a need. There's still a gap for us to close in order to see this project fully funded.
So get involved. Either that's volunteering, join a committee, be an advocate for the Helm, and give money, give your time, give your resources. We need everybody to make this happen. It's not about us or our thing, but it really is about accomplishing the goal, which is getting our neighbors into quality housing in their own community.
Great, I just wanted to share that video, just a few things, give some background about our organization, the work that we're doing. Also, I think it helps demonstrate the partnerships we've managed to build in the last 11 years working in the community. You can see we did a little bit of the talking, but most of it was our partners, people who are in the neighborhood who believe in what we do. I just want to do a few highlights that we didn't go too much into the weeds in the video that I know are important to you guys as you make your decisions as to who's to fund. So one of the things that we're really excited about this project specifically is that it's focused on home ownership rather than rental inside of the community. That's been a huge demand for that within the community is more stable housing options. And so when I say affordable, the AMI for Dauphin County, we've actually exceeded what those regulations are in order to ensure that even the lower earners have access to those units. So there are 9 units that will be created in this development. 3 of those are for 80% and below AMI, 3 of them are for 60% and below AMI, and another 3 for 50% and below. So all the way from affordable to extremely affordable, depending on who's applying for those units. That also ranges from 2 of those units are 3-bedroom units, and the remaining 7 are 2-bedroom units, with one of them being an ADA accessible unit on the first floor. A few things just to note. Again, it's some of the community support. One of the things that we tend to work, which we've learned is different than how a lot of people, we get the support of the community first, and then we go public with the project. So all of the neighborhood associations in our community have all signed off on this project and been instrumental in speaking into the development, how it's coming together, who it's going to serve, how all those things are going to work. And one of those, Mr. Humphrey is present on that video, who's sharing from the Summit Terrace Neighborhood Association. We've had about 150 different residents that sign off on a petition, sharing their support for the project as well. As far as interest in the project within the community, we actually already have 26 families who already signed up to go through the pre-home ownership counseling that's necessary in order to access one of those units. So a huge amount of interest in the project that we're excited about. Probably the last thing of note before we just field some questions about that is we did share an update that unfortunately we did get the news that we did not receive the Federal Home Loan Bank grant. That was for $1.35 million. We were in essence going to use that to leverage all the other additional grants that were going to close the gap. We do have a few different plans what to do to make up for that outside of private investment. That's the easiest and probably most expedient way to do it. But there is a Main Street Matters grant that would be due in the summer of 2025 that could potentially help close that gap as well. But at the end of the day, for us, we're committed. If there's anything that people would learn about our organization is when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it no matter what. Dave West here to my left can attest to that. We work with him in the city of Harrisburg all the time with the work we do. But we're committed to getting this thing across the finish line and would absolutely love the support of the gaming grant in order to make that become a reality.
What about the questions? You said the Main Street Matters grant, that's what it's called?
Yes,
Do you know about the amount that you may receive from
that would be for a total of 1 million, and that would be July 2025.
And then, the private investment through Penn Bank, is that related to this?
Mid-Penn Bank was going to offer a bridge loan
Oh,
in anticipation of the federal home loan bank grant.
oh,
Yeah, so unfortunately, that's no longer. An additional funding source for your, just so you guys are aware, is the PHFA would have an additional funding opportunity, which would be coming in November. So we would anticipate at the very latest, we would be closing the gap financially if we had to wait for all those things. In the event that we get it faster, then it's faster. In the event, like the latest that we could see all the funding coming in would be November, which means for sure we're breaking ground. In order to access funds, I know that there's a timeline for the grant to be expended by April of 2026. So those funds would already be expended by that point in time. There'd be no issues using those funds if they're awarded to us.
So you're saying by the end of this November, you'll know all of your other outstanding pending?
At the latest, that would be if we needed to use the final source, which would be PHFA.
So please keep us posted on how those turn out.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So,
Absolutely.
The PHFA resource, would that be a grant?
Grant.
Yes. I think I also saw in your video, you raised an additional $100,000 that wasn't listed, correct?
Correct, yes.
Also offset some of the other items that were.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's on there, on that, 100,000.
Yes. We did want to have as accurate of a number to let you know. So far towards the project, we've already either invested or secured just shy of 300,000 of that. So currently where we are at in the process of the project is we're ready for bidding and permitting now. So we have 100% drawings, all the pre-development costs have already been taken care of. We're ready to break ground. We just need to close that final financial gap.
Are there any rules that apply to, such as a single mother with 2 sons and a daughter? Can she get a 2-bedroom apartment?
Absolutely. In fact, so our project was created to score additional points through the Federal Home Loan Bank program, and they have specific target groups that they would like you to serve. Some of those groups would be individuals who had struggles with addiction, single mothers, elderly, individuals with disabilities, people who were formerly homeless or near homeless. So every one of these units, we basically had to say those are available for anybody who would qualify under those criteria.
So I was more focusing on the number of bedrooms.
Mhm.
So the adult doesn't have to have her own bedroom with the kids.
No.
I
Yeah.
didn't know if that was a.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Sorry. I apologize for.
No, I wasn't clear. That's fine.
Any other questions from the applicant?
Just for the board's benefit, I think the applicant likely touched on it, but they are ready to go to bid, their drawings and plans are ready.
Right.
So they're on schedule as described in the application.
What is your construction duration?
Our plan was to break ground February and be completed by the end of September, so about a 9 to 10 month window.
Anything else? Thank you much.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Use my fancy board here.
City Harrisburg, you guys ready?
All right. So as I was saying previously, you guys have approximately 30 minutes for your presentation, right? As Latoya requested, also please identify yourselves for the record before you start your presentation. And as we have many other applicants, I'm going to set a timer for 25 minutes. So if you know that you hear that going off, we need to wrap it up so that we can get the other applicants that are here to present. So whenever you're ready, please take it away.
Okay, hear me all right?
So that is for his live streaming. That's not for the room.
Well,
Okay, so
Yeah.
project, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Sam Sikoska, I'm the business administrator for the city of Harrisburg. This is Dave West, he's our public works director. And if you to introduce your assistant.
Joanne Gray, my confidential secretary.
Okay, so this is a grant application, for the amount of, $300,000 is for a, salt dome, Dauphin. We're losing part of that voting due to the Interstate 83 expansion project and also the road deteriorating quickly. So, we're only able to keep, I think, 1 month's worth of supply, 1 storm's worth of supply of salt in the current facility. And the new facility will be much bigger and will hold about 4 storms, I believe. So we're asking, the project is gonna cost anywhere from 300 to 500 and some thousand. And I think we submitted 3 estimates. We're asking for 300,000, we'll make up the difference. Which one, what it actually cost when we bid it, and the 300,000 to do the through funding, so that's not a problem. So that's the crux of the project, and they were added to that one.
Yes, I may have to make a correction that, the facility, salt dome that, we currently just want to be destroyed, that's not, city property. The property belongs to the school district. And because the school district are selling the property to Susquehanna Township, the city has to be removed. And that's why we need the salt dome. And we need it like yesterday. And it's very important to understand, as Sam was stating, that because of the widening of the 83 project, there is a piece of property that's next door to the property that we have, that the widening project that is sponsored by DEP, they are willing to allow us to have the building that we are able to tear the building down so we can build a salt dome. And that's where the salt dome comes in. Currently, we had to submit a letter from the mayor stating that we were interested in the property. Once we did that, then it gave us the capacity to be able to purchase the building for $1. Now, the only thing that we have to wait for is the building was a computer warehouse. That computers have to be removed, and they set a company to take care of that project, but that project will not be taken care of until beginning of March. And then we can proceed with taking care of the property. We have our own demolition department, so tearing down the property would cost the city nothing, but time and manpower. So that would help us in trying to accomplish what we are presenting to accomplish as far as building the salt dome. As Sam was stating, that the quotes have come in of between $500,000 to $600,000 to build this salt dome.
We hoping the trucks can drive right through, or do they back up and pull out?
No, they back in, actually, they would back in partial away, and we'll have a loader in it to load them to come right back out.
So our summary says that the application, or the quotes was 280 to 530, but is that different, or was that an estimate? Sorry.
That were estimates.
So you actually received the bids at this point?
They received 3 bids.
3 bids.
And they range.
So they're not estimates, that's actual bids.
Yes, they're quotes.
All right. Have those been vetted and reviewed and selected one?
Not at this point. We are in the process of selecting the 3. Actually had a meeting today to with my team to select one of the 3. And what we have come up to this point is Penn State Construction.
Would you be able to share with us what that proposal cost was?
I
Yeah.
have it here. Yeah. Is this what you're talking about, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the
It's in your file.
Is that a little bit?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Yeah. Is there, throw it there.
So it's the higher.
It's the little bit.
That's a little bit.
I'm seeing the number 527, so.
Right here down the bottom. 527. See it in green?
Any other questions?
So it's gonna be toward the higher number of your range, I mean, if that's the low bid you got, right? Is that, am I reading this correctly? Your range,
It's 3 to 500.
yeah, it was 300 to 500.
That's correct.
That's, okay, so this, but this is the low bid, so others came in higher,
Yes,
even higher than that estimated range was when you submitted the application.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, right, because what we're looking at, I guess from the application was the range was 280,000 to 530,000 was the estimate.
Penn State Construction.
No, the three estimates, I think.
Oh.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, so you had estimates and then you actually took it out to bid.
Yes,
Is that, and then the bid, this is the low bid at 527.
yes.
Okay.
Do you have any other funding sources you're looking at?
Not up to this.
The application indicates that they'll do an allocation from the liquid fuels fund. Has that allocation been made, or that's just?
Yes, the application would be made from the liquid fuels fund. The rest of the portion. The liquid fuels fund allows us to be able to offset as far as that goes, as far as salt tank, because of environment.
Do you have any idea of sort of a timing of when you'll select the contractor so you can begin the project? I know, I heard you talk about, the property is still occupied, basically, it has to,
That's
be vacated.
Yes.
But it sounds like you anticipate that around March. When do you think you'll be selecting the contractor to get, the project underway?
Once the building is vacated, then our demolition process takes place. And we have our own demolition team because we currently demolish our own properties in the city of Harrisburg. So once that's taken care of, then we'll take that process of demolition.
Thank you.
I think in the packet was the application narrative that's item F, so we're expecting construction installation of the new salt mill by the fall of 2025. We're going to go through this.
So we don't want any more snooze until then. Okay.
Well, the snow you're supposed to get yesterday, we're not doing nothing. That's right.
Okay.
So, but that would be nice. I wouldn't not hold my breath. We expensive anyway.
And it's farm shade.
Yeah, that's-
And it's supposed to snow Saturday.
Of course.
Any other questions?
Final question, Sam, can you spell your last name for me, please?
It's SULK OSKY.
Thank you.
Sounds much more good for me.
Thank you.
Can I give you one of the cards? Miss Kelly says hello.
She enjoyed herself?
Yeah, she is. She's gonna come back tomorrow.
So the city.
I think that was our second visit in the last 3 months.
I was imagine.
All right. If there are no more questions, thank you much. Good luck to you. We'll move on to our next one, Campbell's Helping Hand Foundation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Circle back. Yes, sir. Hey, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, we have, Mr. O'Toole here and the owner of, the Handles Helping Hand Foundation, Chris Franklin, on Zoom he's, I think in Indiana, coaching the Globetrotters tonight. So they wanted to, say a few words before Mr. O'Toole gets started. And also, if you wanted to mention that to all the athletes that are on live stream, just so they know that they're, on YouTube.
Yeah, you're on the worldwide web, you see my anywhere. So. But before we get started, I want to make sure everybody identifies themselves for the record, as well as to know that your time slot is approximately 15 minutes. So I'll set a timer for 12 minutes so that we go off so that we keep on track. That's really it. I know that you received, I believe, some questions in advance, so it would be helpful to touch on those. Not everybody has seen them at this point, so for responses. So I will hit start, and the floor is yours, whichever one of the two of you wants to go first.
Mr. Franklin?
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes. We can hear you.
Yes, sorry I couldn't be there in person today, but I'm honored to be here via Zoom or Teams. I want to talk about our project. We're attacking the issue of affordable housing. As you know, affordable housing is not only an issue nationally, but also locally, whereas in Dauphin County, out of 100 low-income homes, 31 exist. And I think that our project or our program is a unique one. It's not only are we providing homes for 80% and below AMI families, but we are also trying to get families to go into home ownership. So there's actually a plan. We have a partnership with PHFA where they provide certified counseling services, financial literacy, credit recovery, and home owner education, trying to retain the people that we have already here in Dauphin County, but also trying to fix blighted areas, revitalizing that area of Market Street where we are. So that's our project, our program, and it's something that we're very proud of. And I think there are a number of things that help satisfy the 2025 grant criteria. Of course, the location is on Market Street. That's an area that is that needs revitalized, and I think that us being able to provide jobs and permanent and temporary jobs, but also we know what fixing a blighted area can do. The location, I think infrastructure improvement, we developing a new building in the heart of Harrisburg on Market Street. I think it will help out in transportation, being on the bus route and having families that are 80% below AMI. It would help with frequency of public transportation.
But even more importantly, emergency services, health and public safety. Supporting community crime prevention and promoting safe neighborhoods. This area has been neglected for far too long. And also, we know that when you clean up like areas, there's a pride in that community and an ownership in the community when the community looks better. So, and then of course, there's the human service aspect where it's assisting low income and impoverished persons, as well as providing home housing for veterans and the elderly. And I can't stress enough the public need. Affordable housing is not only a local issue, but a national problem. It's an issue of supply and demand, rising housing costs, and of course, economic inequalities. So I believe that our team outlines our budget, and we've hired integrated consulting as engineers for our land development plan. We hope to leverage our gaming funds with the timeline that we provided to the committee. I think that our local plan is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, especially housing and neighborhood development and economic development providing jobs. And then and we have a lot of community support, of course, the mayor, state rep, Dave Matson, and also one of the county commissioners, George Hardwick, has all written letters for us in support of the project. And of course, our expert analysis again is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and we can provide integrated consultants engineering plan. So we're excited about this, bringing it to Harrisburg, and trying to fix our city from the inside out. That's all I have.
Yes, and my name's Sean Oates, I'm an attorney here in Harrisburg. I've been consulting with Chris on this project, and I was primarily the plan B in the event that the virtual hookup with Chris wasn't available. I do have a rendering of it, and I promise you, it's not, I didn't borrow the rendering of the previous applicant. The ministry, and their project's right down the street, and I think it's the same architect. That's the rendering. I would like to, Chris, pointed out that we are, what we're doing is consistent with I think our application dealt primarily with the Dauphin County comprehensive plan. What we're proposing to do is also covered in the Harrisburg comprehensive plan. In fact, action number 41 under the housing section says that one of their actions is to support the creation of new affordable housing developed by Tri-County Homes Housing, nonprofit housing developers, and nonprofit organizations that help homeowners conduct home improvement, maintenance, and provide home buyers and homeowner counseling. That's basically that describes us to a T. And as Chris indicated, this has been the Allison Hill section of the city has been neglected for too long. That said, right now there's a lot of great things going on up there in the past 2 years, and we're 100% behind all of them. And I don't mean to throw shade on any of them. What makes us a little bit unique, a little bit different than all the rest of them, is the home ownership aspect of this. We're trying to, our ultimate goal here is to take low-income families and determine the first-time ownership, which can turn around the neighborhood faster than anything. With that, I guess if you have any questions for your answer.
Do all of these units have separate utilities?
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess this is the second one. I mean, how do we help? I mean, you help these folks prepare knowing that they've got to meet certain guidelines, et cetera. But I mean, with home ownership comes maintenance, right? And stuff like that. Are these folks, once you sell the house, you walk away, you're done. And I mean, how do we get this to a point that, that the maintenance is upkept? So it's I know there's a pride aspect in being a homeowner, but also I know that when, things break, things happen, and you're calling folks, and that stuff's not cheap either.
Yeah, I'm willing to answer the question, but I don't want to step on Chris's toes. Chris, if you want to answer these questions, go ahead, and I'll jump in if I feel needed.
Well, I think our goal is to put people in positions to succeed. And that's what that process is about. You know, that's why we have professionals in all those areas, helping them not only with their credit, helping them turn their lives around. A lot of times, a lot of these first-time home buyers, all they need is an opportunity. So it wouldn't be a situation where we got them in a home and we walked away. We hope to build a network with other professionals to help them be successful on their own, instead of, you know, there's an old adage, of course, we've all heard. Instead of giving them a fish, we teach them how to fish. We teach them how to own their own. And what it is to have pride in their own community and their own buildings. And studies show that when you own in a community, that community strength, people care about the properties way more. Crime drops. It's just it's a domino effect of positivity. So we don't hope to get them in the housing and leave them to be on their own. We hope to put things around them to help them become successful on their own lives.
The consultant we plan to engage would be either PHFA or Tri-County Housing, both very legitimate entities, and we would be of course, cover budgeting, help them get the credit rating in order to how to save money to make the down payment, assisting them with other areas where they can get the down payment, and home maintenance would be, I'm sure, be an element of it.
Any other questions?
Sure, Mr. O'Toole or Mr. Franklin, are there timeframes associated with the other financing or potential resources for the project? Like, do you have an idea, or can you tell us about, like, if you've already applied, or when that comes up, when they make their decision, or when you expect to hear, or whether or not you receive funding from these other resources?
Chris, you want me to take that, or you got it?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, we've already been, 250,000 from PHFA, 55,000 from the Neighborhood Association, the Neighborhood Assistance Program. And there are at least five other outstanding grants that we've already applied for. We expect to be hearing from all five of those, probably between now and spring, late April, early May.
So you said there's a $55,000 award from that?
Yes.
We didn't have that.
In fact, I mean, that was from last year, and it's kind of an ongoing thing. They do that every year, so we've got another 55 application in for the same two banks.
So any idea when decisions will be made on the Federal Home Loan Bank program, the city's CDBG program, or other DCD applications?
Yeah, like I said, I would think that all of them would be, the decision would be made by summertime. I'm hoping earlier than that, by spring. That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Anything else, Latoya? No. Thank you much, and best of luck to you.
Well, I appreciate your taking the time to meet with us and providing the rest personally.
Technology.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, everyone, and consideration.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Toole?
Yeah.
Do you know what the AMI is in Harrisburg?
Oh, boy.
Wildheart talked.
Yeah, but nobody said what it was. I was wondering.
Yeah.
So Wildheart indicated.
I'm sure there's file somewhere I probably have it written down. I guess
Yeah, they have much to go. Yeah, they said 60% below 80%.
Yeah, I think all I had was statistics on the Alpha Hill in general. I don't have any.
Thank you.
So my question was more about, you hear so many homeowners only have X amount of dollars in the bank presently, in case if something breaks. That's very concerned. That's why I was asking.
Okay.
Wasn't implying you would be denied prior or anything.
Right. I'm sure it's like when you're advising a new business, you need to have X number of dollars in the bank in case you have no business for the first 2 months. So I think that's probably part of the council. Hopefully. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. So just a quick guideline here, if you would, before you start your presentation, identify yourself for the record.
Absolutely.
You're actually sharing this this half an hour time slot with Tears for Trina.
Oh, very good.
So what I'll do so that we can share this equitably, I'll set a timer for about 12 minutes.
That's perfect.
So if it goes off, we need to wrap things up. So the other applicant can jump in here. So once you get set up here, I'll start the timer and you can take it away.
Absolutely. So I sit, stand, is there any rules specific?
Just as long as we can hear you.
All right, well, I got a big mouth.
And I should have let you know that this is actually being streamed.
Okay. Should I be up there then?
No, you're fine there.
I'm good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Whenever you're ready.
Even better. I will prepare it in 1 second. All right, go ahead. Sorry. Wanted to pull up my answers to you guys' questions first before we get started, so. All right, I'm ready to go. Hi, my name is Dr. Amber Borelli, and I am the Interim Executive Director for LCF, or Latino Connection Foundation, which is a newly formed 501c3 here in Harrisburg City, dedicated to supporting marginalized communities in their efforts to obtain community programming or affordable housing or other things to meet their basic needs within their community. We are here today because we requested $100,000 for our Woodward Loft Senior Living Affordable Housing Project in Harrisburg City. The $100,000 will be used to bridge our gap of $400,000 in this low-income housing tax credit project. The overall development budget for this project is over $18 million. It is, again, 48 units senior living project that will be at 1001 North 18th Street in Harrisburg. Now, I know you guys have read through all of my applications, so instead of keep talking and rambling on about Woodward Lofts, which I could do all day, because I'm super excited about this program, I'd love to know if you guys have any questions specific to the project or LCF as an organization that I can help you to get a good understanding of.
For me, as I haven't looked at your responses, if you would want to go through those questions and let me know about your responses to those questions, because I haven't had time to hit those yet, that would be helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the first question was to justify why we were asking for more than the $75,000. So the overall cost to develop, build, and lease Woodward Lofts is going to be at $18,018,883. Lots of eights. We should probably all go play the lottery for that. The majority of this funding, $17,618,883, has already been awarded through the Low Income Housing Tax Credit Program in Pennsylvania through the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. Only 2% of the funding, which is the 400,000, is needed. This application is requesting a quarter of that funding, which is the 100,000 that we requested, to aid us in closing the gap, as well as aiding the city in helping us to close that gap. Initially, we were going to request home funding through the city. However, because we were awarded home funds through the low-income housing tax credit project, we've been awarded the max amount of home funds. So we will be meeting with Harrisburg City on Friday to discuss potential other funding opportunities through the city. However, as always, as a nonprofit leader, I always have like 4 or 5 backup plans to my backup plans. And we are exploring a couple of different private partnerships that will help us to bridge that gap. I have no doubt that I will bridge that gap well before we close on this project in June, July 2025. So that was the first question. Any follow-up from that question? Okay. So the second question was that the application includes a very detailed project budget. The contractor estimates in support of the project costs are identified from 2023. Are those estimates still valid? We are in process with PHFA. Part of their process for the low-income housing tax credits is to renew after you reserve your reward. You have to renew those budgets and the plans and everything else and complete things a little further, because when we did the application that we got awarded, we only had like 10% of the design done. So that's what you see here, is really the renderings. What's it going to look like? Is it feasible for this area? Now that we've reserved our tax credits, we've been awarded. We were also awarded the Innovation in Construction and Design Award from PHFA, and we're the only project in the state that was awarded that this year. So part of our application back to PHFA saying, hey, we have this whole thing, and now we've done 90% of the drawings, and this is how it's impacted our costs. So we're currently going through and getting some bids from subcontractors, as well as checking in with the insurance company, working with the city to understand what the taxes are gonna look like, all kinds of different, the whole way to the depth. You guys saw the very extensive budget attached to the application, and it really does count for every penny. All right, question 3 was the status of the Harrisburg Home Funds and NAP requests. So at this time, we have not put in any NAP applications, however, because they don't open until June, July. However, we've had conversation with several folks that have donated through the NAP program to LCF last year that are interested again in putting funding towards this. I anticipate between 75,000 to 100,000 in NAP credits. And that's just money that banks or larger businesses or corporations donate to us for a tax break. I have a meeting with Harrisburg City on Friday to discuss, as I explained, the home funding. We're already at our limit of home funds for this project. So I have a meeting on Friday to discuss with Harrisburg City any funding that they would have available to support this project. However, as stated, I'm never rely on just one source for anything. So I'm definitely out there making sure, worst case scenario, and I don't close this $400,000 gap, I will take that funding out of the developer fee that Latino Connection Foundation, LCF, will be awarded at the end of the project when we close. That's how we get paid for developing these housing projects. I'll take that fee, the $400,000 out of that, and reinvest it into the project to close the gap. Project on schedule with zoning approvals. And well, does anybody have any questions about the funding? We're kind of off those funding questions now. Any questions about those ones? All right, so we're good on that. So we are on schedule with zoning improvements and land development plans. This is really exciting. We have our last set of zoning hearings with City Council on the 21st and 28th of this month. So I'll be out late in downtown Harrisburg 2 weeks in a row. And we're also coordinating those with some community input and update meetings so that we can keep the local community updated on the project and where we're at with things. So we are on schedule. We received our conditional approval on November 6th from the planning board, and now we're just waiting to go in front of City Council. So that's zoning. And yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I think that zoning planning code enforcement hasn't kept up with different weather patterns that we now have. So if we get a wild tornado going down that street, will those windows hold?
It is so part of our innovation and design, and I wish I had somebody from our architect group here that could actually explain the technical parts of it. Part of our innovation and design is that we're using mass timber to construct the building. Mass timber is actually stronger, they tell me, than steel in this type of construction and more cost effective. Plus, they use the entirety of the tree instead of just the clean parts. It's my understanding that yes, this building will be very durable and sustainable. My first directive to the designers on this building was that I do not want to be the person who develops an affordable housing project for seniors in the city. And then in 10 years, I go with my kids to look at it and it's falling apart, it's got broken windows and everything else. So sustainability and being able to keep it safe is really important to LCF and to myself, just a human being. So it's my understanding that yes, but I would definitely have to go back and find out the scientific answer to that. But I trust that our developer, our general contractors and architects are very,
Well, I'm sure they meet the standards, because to go further is to cost you more.
Right.
So my concern like yours is 10 years down the road for these 50 and 100-year storms, that seems kind of percent years. And I don't know if it's even fair to you to request more than what's asked.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And that's actually, because you asked that question, and now have me thinking, when I have my next design meeting, I'm gonna ask them like, hey, what's the wind rating on these windows and what does it look like for that? And if it's not sufficient, I will definitely ask them to increase that.
It's an increased cost, it's just the thought of.
It is.
Okay.
But I'm okay with an increased cost if it means safety. If it's an increased cost just to make it look pretty, that's one thing, but an increased cost for safety is really important, so.
What's the total square footage of this building?
That's a great question.
Or do you know what each unit?
Each unit varies for the square foot. Our total square footage is, it's a 12,727 square foot footprint and a total GFA square footage of 50,908. And each of the 48 units, there's some 1 and some 2 bedrooms, and each vary in regards to square footage.
What's the criteria for eligibility?
The criteria for eligibility is 62 and older. And then there's income criteria from anywhere from 20% of the annual median income. So folks who are making like basically Social Security, things like that, the whole way up to some units are designated for 80% of the annual median income. So it is it's mixed, diverse, income in the building. But we really try to stick to having the bulk of our units be around that 50%. That's where we're seeing a lot of our folks who are either older folks who are living in homes that they can't keep up with anymore, that are in that income range, or people who are like living with relatives because they can't afford their own house.
So senior is 62 now.
So I believe.
I'm just getting a little sensitive to that.
Yeah, no, it's okay, it's okay. I feel like I'm quickly approaching, but it's, yeah, per PHFA, that's what they say, so we'll see. Any other questions on that? All right, so then the final question was how many construction jobs will be created or preserved with this project? So we anticipate creating or preserving between 40 and 45 construction jobs. There'll be 20 different trades working on this project. And then after construction, the project will be staffed with 1 full-time property manager and maintenance staff, as well as a part-time support services coordinator. So that is the jobs that we created or preserved.
Any other questions? Look at you. Cases.
I try to deliver. Now, I'm really excited about this project. It's really, that neighborhood where we're building has been really kind of like, Allison Hill has a lot of investment, Uptown has a lot, but this little, like, they call it Darkville, this little teeny area up here, like Her Street to Briggs and 20th to like 16th, has just kind of been forgotten. So this will really, hopefully pump in some good income and residents and help the community members to increase their property value.
I guess I do have one question.
Sure.
For the jobs, the building staff, one full-time property manager and one maintenance staff?
Yes.
Okay, so that's including. Thank you.
Yeah, 2 full-time and then the support service coordinator part-time, so.
Best of luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate you guys' time. However, I can't figure out how to get things back in the right? This is my whole life story. There we go.
You're on it.
How you doing?
Good, you okay?
So last year.
See what he did was cars.
You put them all, you can solve it, yeah. And I'm sure.
And then it means.
So,
There's a lot of those community. And then next to. What are you doing there? Yeah, we're just going to celebrate them. 2 years.
yeah.
See, if I was that judge. I would say.
Feedback. Yeah.
I would have been really.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what.
Hey.
Hello.
Here's for Tarina. Angel Mother.
That's right. So I was just saying.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Doing all right. First off, let you know that we are being live streamed, so that everybody's out there listening, whoever's out there. As well as you have approximately 15 minutes for your application presentation. I'll set a timer for 12 minutes so that if that goes off, we'll need to wrap things up. I do believe that you received a few questions as well. If you would want to incorporate those into your presentation, that would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, whenever you're ready, please identify yourself.
Angel Fox, Tears for Tarina. Founder.
There we go.
Or I'm just giving us.
Your presentation.
Oh, I applied for funding because I have a safe house for battered women. We hold anywhere up to 8 women that are experiencing domestic violence and or homelessness. Because the house is a 1922 house, it comes with some needed repairs to make it more accommodating to the women that are in the house and sometimes their children. So we requested funds to update the kitchen, bathroom, HVAC unit. The HVAC unit we have, we don't have an HVAC unit. Each room is personally controlled by a heating unit. And because the house is drafty and old and not properly insulated, the money is going out the window literally. So we are requesting funds to help assist with upgrading the HVAC unit. They have the thermometers next to the window, so therefore the heat is constantly running. They're not installed properly, so we were hoping to upgrade the system. We did inquire in an invoice. The invoice did not accommodate the heating unit we decided to go with. So I am waiting on the new estimate for the new systems that we want to use. That is a blow heat and not just a baseboard heater, because it would be more effective and cheaper, way cheaper. We've expanded a little bit this year. We provide more food, more resources. We hired a part-time case manager. So the ladies are getting more regular case management to help them successfully transition from our facility. That's it.
Are there safe houses for better men?
Not that I know of.
So when a woman arrives, how long can she stay there?
Anywhere from a day to 90 days. If they're on a waiting list and they're close to the top, they're able to stay longer as long as they're completing whatever they're supposed to be completing.
How many women would you expect to be in the house here?
We house 8 daily, up to 8 daily. Sometimes we go on to 5. Sometimes one woman we stay a year, depending on her needs. So we have probably, give or take, about 47-ish a year, if not more. And that doesn't include the women we put it into, men or women that we put into hotels. Because if they have 5 kids, like the phone call we got today, we're not equipped to take 5 children. So, unless it's just overnight. So we'll provide them a hotel stay up to 3 nights until they can figure it out, if we have the funding.
So you do take children in this facility?
We do, I try not to, so I usually tell people no, but currently we have a woman right now with a 2-year-old.
How do you handle language issues?
If it's Spanish, we have an interpreter. If there's other languages, we try to get other resources. Most of our clients are referred, so they usually come with an interpreter if they speak a different language.
Any other questions?
Sure, on the funding resources for the project, do you have an update on the community matters?
So I reached out to Brooke to find out if we received 26. She said, no, we applied, we have not got a response or something. I think the 26 that I applied for, or that I put in there, was the 26 from the CDBG that they ended up taking back because we had a conflict of interest with one of our board members being related to a city council member, or being sister with this. Don't ask me, I'm still appealing it, but my board member is sisters in this world, so they're taking the funding back.
So there's no community matters grant to include in the funding?
No.
Thanks.
I did update and say that M&T did provide 1,500. Or ARPA money, it was that CDBG something money. They awarded us a total of 76, some for repairs and others for case management. But I got a letter from legal saying it was a conflict of interest due to a board member being related. So I'm still waiting on that opinion. I don't think so. But my board member recused herself from the board.
Any other questions regarding this? Could I ask a separate question? I think you had the Fox's Wash, right? How's that going?
Finally, Jim Group called me 3 weeks ago to say congratulations, they'll be starting the process to do a site survey and start building. Hopefully April will start building. But yeah, it's been an uphill battle. My architect died. The city and everything, yeah, it's been
Good luck.
thank you. I'm excited for it too. Especially because I'm not a developer, so I don't know nothing you're talking about. When you're talking to me.
I'm sure you learned that.
I've learned it from my mistakes, yes.
If there's nothing more, thank you much and best of luck to you.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Sure.
That's good. Was that first time? Or was that really good?
Hello.
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 Mr. Chairman, this is Carl.
How's it going?
Welcome.
So, you are sharing your time slot with Open Stage this evening. So you have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation so that the folks who move the stage can have the other 15 minutes. So I'll set a timer for 12 minutes. So if that goes off, we need to kind of wrap things up so to keep things going. Also, this is being live streamed so that you're aware. Other than that, if you can identify yourselves for the public records, people out there know who you are, who's presenting, and that sort of thing. So
Sure, absolutely.
whenever you're ready, take her away.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is George Fernandez, and I am one of the co-owners for Carmine Entertainment Complex, previously known as Stallions here in Harrisburg. It's the local LGBTQ restaurant/bar entertainment complex in Harrisburg. It's been around for about 40 plus years or so. And joining me?
My name is Nelson Mina, co-owner of Carmine Entertainment Complex. Just like George said, it's a beautiful property that previously was Stallions Entertainment Complex around for 40 years. And before that, a restaurant. We're talking about a over 100 years old building that has around 12,000 square footage, 4 floors. And it's a very special for the LGBTQ and allies community because of how iconic it is and all the opportunities for work, art, and expression that it has given to people for the last 40 years. And it is our intention to most effectively carry the legacy because this building that we're talking about has been neglected. It needs a lot of repairs and upgrades in order to continue to work effectively.
Karma Entertainment Complex is located at 706 North 3rd Street. Our neighbors across the street are the Pennsylvania State Museum. It is a true staple to the community. As Nelson said, roughly about 12,000 square feet of space across 4 floors. Basement, floor 1 has our main bar. It is the only entertainment complex that has an actual dance floor. Most recently, our grand opening was on November 22nd. We had roughly about 550 patrons, not only from the local community, but also people visiting from out of town, such as Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., New York, and Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Erie. And New Jersey. Along with the venue closed, Stallions closed back in June. Nelson and I bought it on September 30th, and under 45 days, we remodeled the main spaces of the basement and the first floor. We ask you to visit our website to learn more, karmahbg.com. We've created 27 new jobs, both full-time and part-time, here locally in the community. 4 full-time jobs, and the rest are part-time jobs at roughly about 25 hours a week. Along with the club space, we have established partnerships with local corporate companies, such as other healthcare companies in the local area. LGBT spaces are becoming health hubs for the transgender community and the LGBTQ plus community as it relates to testing, obesity, diabetes programs, and so forth. And we're really happy to have created this space locally here in the region. As Nelson mentioned, the building has been neglected for quite some time. It needs a lot of repairs. A lot of the large upgrades in the building were done in late 1989, early 2000. The building itself has roughly about 26 HVAC units that need attention. It has a large commercial chef's kitchen that we hope to open in the future that needs remodeled. The kitchen's been closed for about 26 years. But in order for us to really open the venue, we needed to remodel the signage, upgrade lighting and sound, upgrade some safety measurements in the building. We've been able to secure some private loan funding to help us get the actual business established and opened. And we're very proud that in the past 38 days that we've been opened, we've welcomed a little bit over 2,900 guests to the actual venue. And have created approximately 26 new jobs. Nelson and I are happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Is it required to have a sprinkler system in the building?
No, we're not required. If Nelson and I do some major upgrades to the actual building, we would have to adhere to the new codes. At this time, we don't plan to do any large major renovations that would have us kind of kick in with the new codes as per the city of Harrisburg. Yeah, we have though majorly invested into upgrading the fire alarm system at the building, and that's an investment that we made prior to opening doors. Before, the old fire alarm system that was there was not connected to the 911 system. So if a fire would arise on floor 2, no one would notice until it would get to floor 1 or the basement. We've been able to upgrade that system already.
So earlier we had some focus here on senior citizens. What's the age group of people coming to that?
It's very wide. It's really awesome to see. Yeah, I mean, I'll let Nelson speak to it, but already we have individuals up of 70 plus that are finding a place, that are coming to visit the venue just because they feel safe. Right. That's, for me, living in Harrisburg now for the past 26 years, it makes me feel comfortable to hear that people feel safe going back out to a club or a bar or just a place to lounge. Nelson is in the process of launching a book club, of launching a support group for seniors and for our Karma Kids Club. We just had our first Karma Kids Club event a few weeks ago where we did, we have a mascot, and we did a Wonderland holiday event, and the kids came out and did arts and cookies and crafts and things like that, really maximizing the use of the space that's there, right? Because while you have a club, the club scene doesn't really kick in until 10 p.m. What do we do with all this space during the day, right? And along with that, we also have a parking lot in the back of the building. And as you know, parking can be an issue, when visiting local businesses. We have 36 parking spots in the back. of the building. So people feel safe, they can park there, it's completely free to them, we don't charge for parking, and we're able to bring patrons of all different types of ages into our venue. Most recently, I had an individual who was 73 or 74 years old. She came to the venue and she said she remembers when Stallions opened 40 years ago. And she was very emotional as a senior lesbian woman living in the city of Harrisburg, that she had never been invited to feel safe or to feel welcomed in quite some time. And she feels safe coming to Karma now. We also take safety very serious for us. We've contracted with the old retired captain of the Harrisburg City Police, Captain Gabriel Oliveira, to put together our safety procedures and our plans. We have multiple scenarios that if something was to go wrong, we've invested very, very heavily into having a safety team on hand on Thursdays and Fridays, which is our busy days.
Saturdays.
Say it again?
And Saturdays as well.
And Saturdays, Fridays and Saturdays. Did I say something? Okay. Fridays and Saturdays, we have a really good active safety team on hand, and making sure that our team is doing what they're doing, and to make sure that everyone is kept safe.
So your request is roughly 10% of your overall budget from the time that you acquired this, right?
That is correct. Yeah, as of right now, we are over budget. After purchasing the actual venue, we have ran into multiple scenarios with flooring issues, commercial refrigeration, safety and compliance. I mean, we didn't think the fire thing was going to be an issue. It was an issue for us to open. So at this time, we are over budget already than the anticipated budget that is in front of you, and we're still only asking the local share for the $150,000 that's in front of you today. Which at this time is roughly, instead of 10%, is roughly about 6 or 7% of our current budget.
So how long have you been open at this point?
We opened on November 22nd.
About 40 days, more or less.
I'm losing hair.
Me too.
I lost all of us.
So how's your revenue stream going? I mean, obviously, when you first opened up, you're new, everybody's excited, vibrant, coming, so I'm assuming it's pretty positive.
That is correct. It's very positive at this time. It's also winter, so it's very low for what we were expecting, right? It gets dark after 5. I can't wait for spring to come and kind of bring in some of that crowd, between that 5 to 7 for happy hour and so forth. We are in the process of scheduling some private events and corporate parties events. The venue is very, very large. We've already had some big supporters, from local companies that are already starting to schedule private events into March and April. But our revenue so far has been, I would say, roughly about 60 or 65% of what we expected it to be. But I think it has to do with it's cold, it's dark, and people are really, really excited, but still also waiting for nice weather for people to come out.
Yeah, the fever ball coming, right?
Yes. And it's also, we opened up at a really bad time. We opened up the week before Thanksgiving. People are spending money on Thanksgiving, people are spending money on the holidays. So we hope to really see an increase in our revenue, I would say sometime by late spring.
You said you're serving food now, or not yet?
We're serving very light food at this time. The kitchen itself has not yet been remodeled. It used to be a restaurant called Heaven, very popular, an Italian restaurant back roughly about 26, 27 years ago. But it has a very large commercial kitchen. A lot of the equipment is still in really good condition. It just needs to be remodeled and get some things in there. But very light food right now, sort of like hot dogs, mini sliders, things that kind of go into a small convection oven or microwave.
Any other questions?
The short-term financing that was done to get the lighting project underway on it and stuff, what amount was that?
150,000.
That's the 150?
Short-term loan, high interest. Being honest with you. Brooke knows. Other questions that you might have, any comments? I also invite all of you to come out and see us when your schedule permits. It's a beautiful venue. It's very centrally located. It's a beautiful building as well. It's I'm really excited for the contribution of the regional economic development that Karma is bringing to the region. We're getting messages from people in York, Lancaster, Lebanon, Cumberland. People are starting to book hotels, to come out on weekends and things like that. So it's just really exciting to kind of see that come back into Dauphin County, and I'm really happy to be at the forefront, at the center of it all, with Nelson, my husband.
So if there's no other questions, thank you much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Wait, a married couple has undertaken this?
Yes.
Oh, God bless you both.
Yes.
Come on!
I'm not taking blessings.
I will share too that for the first time, this venue, as a local LGBT venue, it's actually owned by a gay couple. So previously, it wasn't owned by a gay couple that really just didn't take into account the safety and wellness of the community versus the actual, dollar or whatnot. But it's really exciting. People are really, really excited for this venue now being owned by LGBT couples. And people are coming forward to say, hey, can I host my son's birthday party here? Or hey, can I host my mom's, retirement party here and things like that. So it's just really exciting that this venue is open to anyone and everyone, and people are coming forward to say, hey, can I host a family gathering or event here? It's pretty awesome. But thank you. We take your blessings. We need it. Thank you so much for your time. Any other questions? Wonderful. Have a beautiful afternoon. Stay warm. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron.
Drive carefully.
Thank
Can't sneak in here.
It's just so much crap. Everything's on the
One of those days, huh?
Good afternoon. Open stage. So you've been through this once, maybe twice, so you kind of got it down. But I will remind you of sort of the ground rules here. We would like for you to identify yourself. I also want to let you know that for the first time we're being live streamed, so that's out there. I believe you received a few questions as well. If you wouldn't mind touching on those in your presentation, that would be helpful. Other than that, you have 15 minutes. I'll set the timer for 12. So if that goes off, we can kind of wrap things up for the people that are coming behind you. So whenever you're ready, take it away.
So I'm going to open my notes here.
For the first two are, I know you don't need to extract.
It's been a long day. I'm Stuart Landon. I'm the producing artistic director for Open Stage.
And I'm Ben Kelly, and I'm the operations manager.
Thank you.
Excellent. We are here to discuss the facilities upgrade project at Open Stage. This is, it's been a really exciting year for Open Stage because, well, first of all, Dauphin County helped us last year with a project that we were able to come to fruition with, to finish off, and that's been really neat, which is our security hallway project that we did last year. It actually ended up being much more than that. But I'll start at the beginning when it comes to open stage. We've been around for 39 seasons. We're the oldest professional theater company in Harrisburg and in Dauphin County. We're very proud to support a company of artists that do theater. So it's a little kind of like the reverse of many theater companies, where their focus is doing theater, and they happen to also hire or use volunteers as artists, or use volunteer artists. And we're focused on the artists themselves. We have a wonderful family of artists when it comes to actors, designers, directors, and I have been lucky enough to be at the helm of this company since 2017, and previous to that, I was on staff since 2010. This was founded by the Alsadek family. Don and Ann Alsadek founded it in 1984. We've been at the downtown location since 1992, and in 2019, after many years of not renovating, we finally were able to, once again, thanks to this body and to many other wonderful supporters, we put on those front doors, which are hopefully noticeable on the rather dark alleyway that we're on. But I think we've become a little bit, we're always referred to as a hidden gem in Harrisburg, and I think because of these projects, we are become a little bit less hidden, maybe just a gem. Really great. We serve over 10,000 patrons each year, and in 2024 we had visitors from 21 different states. It actually really exploded over the last year, which is really exciting. We did a couple of shows that were super popular and brought in people from all over the region and all over the nation. Actually, one we did this past fall brought in people from the UK as well, which is really good. 3 different families come in from 2 other countries. Which is really fascinating and really wonderful. So I think we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Phase 1, the new space that I referred to earlier that we talked about last year, the security hallway, has become more than just a hallway. And as it says there, the funding was invaluable in completing it. So we basically took over part of the elevator lobby of the Walnut Street parking garage, which is where we're located. We're on the street level of the garage. And this new space connects kind of one side of the facility to the other, allowing actors and audience members to walk from one side to the other. And the actors don't have to go outside of our facility. So, which was a very bizarre situation that we had for many, many, many years. This solved it, so we're really appreciative. So that space became our library, or referred to as our library. And right there you can see it decked out with a lot of the, I guess, relics that we have and exhibit items we had from the 25th anniversary celebration of Christmas Carol that we just celebrated this past December. And we were also able to add space for our costume department, which was much needed. You can imagine after 40 years, we have a lot of costumes. And then we were able to add access to an additional restroom that's in that area. So it's pretty exciting stuff. And honestly, our actors have expressed relief to be able to, and parents of young actors have been able to feel more secure by having this crossover. So we're very thankful for the generosity with this when it came to phase 1. Phase 2, thank you. We were able to buy some real theater seating for our second stage. We have 3 performance venues in our very small facility with the main stage, which is 118 seats. We have the studio space, which is about 50 seats, and we have the lobby itself, which we call the Court Street Cabaret, which holds about 40 people for small music performances throughout the year. But that space, the studio space in the bottom right-hand corner of that slide, now is fully decked out with chairs that are actually, we're installing cup holders on them. They're so much more comfortable that after 15 minutes, you're not wondering why you're there. And that's an important part of the experience we give our audiences, and that's been last year, we were able to utilize the funds for phase 1, and we were so thankful for that. So a big
part of the ask today is that we would love to have some relief for the debt for the loan that we did for phase 2. In addition to that, we have a need for lighting upgrades. There are some really big pieces of equipment that we have not upgraded holistically for the last 39 seasons, or at least since 1992 when we moved into the space. And a big part of it is the dimmer rack. And just to, and you can actually look at the letter of support we got from Tristan Stasiulis, our lighting designer, and he is an expert in this field more than I am. But to put it in layman's terms, basically the way I understand it, is that the backbone of the lighting is the dimmer rack. So it's bringing the electricity from the wall into this large rack that then distributes it to the lighting equipment. That rack has been band-aided for many, many years, and we've gotten little pieces when absolutely necessary, and that's where the big money comes in, unfortunately. Of course, right? It's like when something goes wrong with your car, of course it's the most expensive part of your car, and that's kind of where we are. We're looking at it not because it's gone wrong completely, but because it's going to. We can just tell that it's tipping there. And I think that's the most significant part of it, although we definitely have a need for additional individual lights and truss work throughout the facility to bring us up to, honestly, the technological level that we should be here in 2025. And we still use a lot of stuff for many, many, many years. Like this, luckily, the investment sticks around. But as most technology has in this brave new world we're in, is that some of it goes bad faster. So like even though LEDs, which are the new kind of equipment that we are purchasing for the most part, that material doesn't last quite as long. So we might even be looking for a new lighting board, which we bought this one not so long ago. So, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. But this basically we prioritize that dimmer rack, and then there are there's in the second stage, the one with the new chairs, we never put in a proper grid, which is what the truss work would be for. The idea of making sure that we're able to hang those lights from all the different points in the room so that with the actual lighting, you can get the proper points. Yeah, that's the end of phase 2. Yes.
Are you using, or is all of your lighting presently LED?
No, we have a lot of lighting from pre-LED that's actually these things are probably 40, 50 years old, and they have a lot of staying power. So we use a mix.
So are you saying with this project, all of your lighting would be converted to LED?
We would have, I would say, 25% more of our equipment would go that way, because there are pieces that are aging that we need to replace. It would be more logical to replace them with LED rather than the old technology. And those pieces, although there are a lot of old workhorses that we have, a lot of them.
So my kind of direction that I'm moving
Yeah.
in is what sort of cost savings would you get on your electrical side of things? If you move to LED, would that allow you, like, let's say we can't fund everything that you need, would there be some sort of makeup there that if you don't get all the funding you need, you'd be like, oh, I'm realizing savings over here that I think I'm willing to be able to pay, blah, blah, blah.
Sure. So we do pay electric for our area. We don't pay other utilities though. So there would be a cost savings there, absolutely. That being said, the theatrical lighting is not on all the time, of course, and it's only on during productions. So we actually turn off the entire, turn off the big switch every single time. So, but yeah, I assume there would be some savings in the long run. That's something that we, honestly, I think that would be really exciting to look at. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's energy savings programs out there. I don't know if that was something you could look at for funding, because if you're doing that, you're swapping things out. Maybe there's programs out there for that.
Thank you, yes. Great. So, first and foremost, we want to make sure that our patron experience is the best that it can be. And we've always been dedicated to creating quality work. And now we just need to have, when it comes to, we have quality seating now, and now we need to have some quality lights to light our beautiful artists, our actors. And to have a better production value to make sure that we're able to have the best tools for the job, and to have exciting productions for our audiences. And then last year, when we were band-aiding the last time when it came to the lighting backbone that I was talking about before, I think we were just talking about the fact that this takes a lot of time and effort for us to do those little things over and over and over again. And maybe you can even call it death by 1,000 cuts. And I'd much rather stop the bleeding before we get to a place that it's more difficult. I think that. So I apologize. This is the last game. So if there's any further questions, I'd be happy to answer.
If you had to prioritize, some of the lighting upgrades over others, what would that be? Would that be done, or does it all have to be done at the same time?
We could prioritize, and it would be the dimmer rooms.
Thanks.
That's your big number, right? Dimmer rack.
It's the most significant portion of the project for sure, but it also causes the most significant issues within the entire system as a whole, which is why it's the most important, despite having a very large price tag.
And also being the least attractive thing, because it doesn't, it's just, we can't run anything without it.
What are movers?
Oh, sorry, yeah, so the moving lights, like a rock
okay.
concert, yeah, so we use a limited number of them, but they're very helpful because our space doesn't allow for like spotlight operators and stuff. So in order to have more concentrated light, it's gonna really, and those are very pricey, and we bought those back in the day and there's whole new technologies that now are able to be much better, and are LED, the ones we currently have are not.
Anything else?
I really appreciate your time.
Thank you much.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
I'll check it. Yeah, I'll check it.
This is Jewish Federation.
Here, Jim, if you want. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
And you are the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg, correct? And you're sharing this half-hour time slot with the Capillary Community Health Association. So you have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation. That's some time of 12 minutes. Additionally, this is aired, live streamed, just for your information. Please identify yourselves for your presentation for the record. And whenever you're ready, where's yours? That is his mic over there. Just project as loud as you can so that others can.
Great, thank you. I am Christine Catuli, the Chief Operations Officer.
Zachary Benjamin, President and CEO.
Tim Brooks, Regional Security Advisor for the Secure Community Network.
Michael Barron, Vice Chair of Facilities.
Thank you. And I think we're just going to start off with just a brief overview of our organization and an introduction, and Zach will direct that.
Thank you, Christine. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. As I mentioned, my name is Zach Benjamin, and I'm the relatively new President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg, which also encompasses the Jewish Community Center of Harrisburg, and we own and operate the Alexander Grass campus for Jewish Life at what used to be the Dixon University Center. We are a multifaceted organization that serves people of all faith, stages, and abilities from the universal value system of Jewish values. Our functions range from preschool to senior services. We serve people of all abilities, including Parkinson's programming specifically for Parkinson's patients, fitness programs for all ages, adult education, and more. On our campus sits the Jewish Family Service of Greater Harrisburg, the Silver Academy Day School, and the Jewish Community Foundation of Central Pennsylvania. And so this gives you an idea of kind of our scope and our constituency. So without further delay, happy to turn the mic over to our Chief Operating Officer, Christine Matsui.
Thank you, Zach. Zach mentioned we're operating now on the Alexander Grass campus for Jewish Life. We purchased that campus the beginning of 2023, and we have now fully moved onto the campus from our prior campus, which was right across the street at 3301 North Front. So we're now fully operating on the Grass campus. On that campus, we employ approximately 175 people across the whole campus. We serve approximately 155 students in our early childhood center, as well as the Silver Academy Day School. The Jewish Family Service, they provide a wide array of different social services in the community, including running a food pantry. In the past year, they distributed about 12,000 pounds of food, as well as delivering 6,000 meals to homebound seniors. So what we do on the campus, it's vast and wide, as Zach indicated. We're doing a lot for the community at large, as well as serving the needs of the local Jewish community. With the move to the new campus, we want to switch to the next, just some pictures of just things that we've been doing on the campus this past year, from pre-K graduation to using our front lawn for outdoor reading time, our classrooms, our silver sneakers, and fitness participants and members. And I think that's our Holocaust Remembrance Day ceremony. So in moving to the new campus, we purchased the campus. It had some old, kind of outdated security systems that did not meet the needs of our organizations on the campus and our operations. So since purchasing the campus, we have kind of engaged in a very broad safety and security project to bring the campus kind of up to speed on what our needs, to suit our needs. That project was outlined in our application. It's a project that includes a lot of kind of smaller like sub-projects within it. So it's been everything from networking and wiring for security cameras, security access control systems, a lot of the infrastructure that you would expect, on a campus and for an organization, as well as a lot of kind of grounds, things on the grounds that are needed, such as safety or traffic calming measures and devices, new security gate arms for the parking garage, speed bumps, all these kinds of things that were not present on the campus when we purchased it. Because we serve so many children, students, elderly, everyone in between, there's a lot of traffic coming in on the campus, and we want to make sure we provide a safe environment for everyone coming and going. So we have been engaged in completing our security and safety related infrastructure projects. We've come a long way, but we still have a little bit to do to finish out the full comprehensive project, which is why we're asking respectfully asking for $75,000 to finish that project. So that encompasses about 11% of the total overall project cost and will allow us to complete the remaining pieces of the project that we have slated to do.
Christine, I might also mention that we have 6 buildings, and we're on Front Street and on Second Street, so that our campus crosses Second Street.
So next we have thank you, Michael, a campus map that kind of shows that. So we are between Second and Front Streets, 6 total buildings. One on the opposite side of Second Street, that light blue building is our early learning center. The rest of the buildings are on the main kind of green there, between Front and Second. Probably go to the next slide. So obviously the need is just safety and security for our students and our community members, everyone that comes to visit the campus. We are also a facility rental and conference space for the community as well as the state. We recently hosted the Pennsylvania State Police that had their kind of annual symposium on our campus. So there's a wide variety of things happening on the campus on any given day, week, or month. We want to ensure the safety of the whole community. Unfortunately, because we are a Jewish organization, we are the target of threats of harm. There's been a growing rise in anti-Semitism across the country as well as internationally, particularly since October 7th of 2023. So we've seen a substantial increase. The next slide. We have a contract with Secure Community Network that helped Tim Brooks, our regional security advisor. They provide a number of security-related services for the organization, and they track all of the security-related threats and incidents across the country. And from 2022 to 2023, they saw a 50% increase in threats and incidents across the country. We ourselves have been the subject of several bomb threats. At the time of the application, there was one specific one. We've had a couple of additional ones since then. Thankfully, they've not come to fruition, but we've definitely seen an increase in threats and incidences. And we were also the victim of an attempted ransomware attack in the last few months. So go to the next slide. So the impact in Dauphin County specifically, obviously there's, again, a lot of different members of the community that come to our campus for a lot of different reasons. Having them come and be able to experience the campus helps them have that positive experience and see their dollars kind of going to work. Again, we serve everyone from infants, to older adults. When we have a strong security systems in place and infrastructure, it helps everyone to feel more safe and to feel more connected to the community and feel that they can go out and engage and participate and not feel that they're at risk of harm. Go to the next slide. Again, I think I mentioned some of the numbers before, about a total of about 140 families, total of about 155 students. About 70% of the families live in Dauphin County. We have long-term relationships with Dauphin County Agency on Aging as well. We serve over 100 senior adults on our campus every week through our senior adult club and our lunch programs that we run every Tuesday and Thursday, as well as our fitness center where we offer Silver Sneakers programs and a variety of fitness and wellness services for senior adults as well, again, as all ages. Mentioned Jewish Family Service, who's also located on our campus, and their services that they provide, including food assistance. We work with approximately 25 different vendors and subcontractors in Dauphin County, and we strive to work with local vendors whenever possible for all of our campus-related projects. Just a little bit about funding. With the purchase of the new campus, we did engage obviously in a capital campaign that has now been combined with an annual campaign that we run every year. You'll see the donations to date. Our annual operating cost for the new campus is about $7 million, just for general operating costs. So with the additional capital construction projects and different things that we need to do, obviously we do rely on our donors and our campaigns, but we also heavily rely on grants as a nonprofit organization in order for it to be successful. We also want to make sure that we're using our funds judiciously and that we plan for the future and that we'll be able to sustain and maintain the campus over the course of the years to come. So to date, we've been awarded $617,145 in total grant funding from various sources so far for the safety and security infrastructure project. And we need just right around 75,000, I think in the 75,200 to finish the remaining projects that we have slated. So if we are able to secure the additional $75,000, it would complete the overall safety and security infrastructure project for the
So if we're not able to award that, is there sort of a priority, something that's in here that we're willing to go to, like the parking garage, access arms, or, I don't know. Didn't know if any of this was in sort of any order of priority that you have there.
fencing. Yes, fencing is a big priority, which we're in the process of obtaining site plans and designs for fencing. Some of that is being funded through some of the other grants that we've already been approved for. So when we have been prioritizing the projects, we rely heavily on the threat vulnerability and security assessment done by Secure Community Network. In their assessment, they mark things as kind of like high priority, medium, or low. And so we've been prioritizing in that way. So the things remaining kind of to do are probably in the grand scheme of the project on the lower end of the priority. They're all high priority projects in the threat assessment, but they're the lowest high priority projects, if that makes sense, in the overall safety and security project itself. So they're the things like some of the traffic calming measures, the safety, the speed bumps, the parking turnaround project, putting ballistic film on windows, looking at alarms for doors and windows. So we're alerted if there's an open door, an open window, having alarms on those, and those sorts of things that I mentioned.
I think what you're saying is whatever we can afford.
Exactly. We have to have the funding before we can really do anything. There are certain things we had to have in place for us to move in and occupy the space, the very basics, the security access systems, security cameras. There's certain just basic things we had to have done in place before we could move in and occupy. We started with those and now we've been working through.
Any other questions?
So, you're right, since October 2023, there's been an incredible increase of attacks and criminal attacks. So it's safe for me to assume, and I don't want to go into details of what you omitted or made low priorities, because probably just need to do that, but could this 692,000 project be started all over again once this is done with other things for safety purposes?
We haven't scoped it out, but there are other projects that have been in the threat assessment, the kind of the medium and the low priority projects that yes, we could look at those next and scope those out and in conjunction with our security advisors, determine what they recommend, what the recommendations are, and the climate changes all the time.
And I just think absolutely, and just to add, the answer is yes, and you can always, security needs are such that your needs can fit the dollars that you have available. So if we had another $600,000, ballistics film could perhaps become ballistics glass. which is a significantly more expensive, but also significantly more secure, more effective. Wrought iron fencing could become something more substantial. Anyway, those are just examples.
Who has been here before? Have you been here before? Have you been paying attention to anybody?
So is it fair to ask, how did the playground,
I think so.
the accessible ADA playground?
Yeah, and I think you were with the JCC at the time.
I was with the organization at the time, but not in this role.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Terry Travers, but Michael Barron and myself are now actively very much involved in the playground and the garden projects on the campus. We are kind of in full swing of finalizing the site plans for that project. It was delayed a little bit just with transition of kind of staff and leadership and organization and getting project bids and proposals, we needed to do some, we talked a little bit about this, about the, I'm not going to use the right words, the plans, so the survey that we had done to the property lines.
We have a site plan in which we're marking up with our stakeholders how we'll deal with all of the fencing and the playgrounds and the gardens, et cetera. So when you look at the numbers we gave you on fencing, for instance, we don't know that will end there. We think that's just the beginning. We think that in future years we'll have to add more fencing and certainly more safety features to make sure that the children and our constituents are all safe.
We have some neighbors that are adjacent to our property, so part of it was doing an assessment of where the property lines are, so we know where we can get fencing, where we can't, playgrounds where we can't. So we finalized that. We're working on final site plans right now for the playground project itself in the garden, where everything's going to go very specifically. We almost have that finalized, and once we have that, we're going out with RFPs for proposals for the fencing. We'll be doing the fencing first. It's really important for us to get the fencing in place so the children have green space that they can play and be safe. We will lose some of their play space once we start breaking ground, so we need the fenced area so they have somewhere to go. And then once that's fenced, we can work on part of the playground and garden, and then again, shift them back over to the other side and finish the playground project. So right now, our goal, and we foresee that we'll have that all completed by summer of 2025.
Thank you much, and best of luck to you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Running a little ahead of time.
Hi. Hello.
Did you have a good time last time?
Yeah, I'm gonna come back for more. Just
All right. For one of you, this is going to sound like a broken record. Benefit of the other two gentlemen here. You've been slotted for roughly 15 minutes for your presentation this evening. We are being live streamed, so it's out there on the World Wide Web, I guess, or somewhere. So, if you wouldn't mind identifying yourselves for the record, and so everybody knows who's chatting here. I will set a timer for 12 minutes. If you're going to go off, we need wrap things up to keep on schedule for the other presenters that you come in. I do believe you've received a few questions in advance. If you want to weave that into your presentation, that would be helpful. Other than that, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm Douglas Hill, and I'm the president of the Capital Area Greenbelt Association. I'm a resident of Harrisburg, downtown on Green Street.
I'm Mike Krabowski. I'm a past president and longtime volunteer with the Capital Area Greenbelt Association.
And I'm Sam Sikorsky, the business administrator for the city of Harrisburg.
So, as you know, the Capital Area Greenbelt is a regional asset for recreation, active transportation, environmental preservation. It is listed as part of the comprehensive plan for the city and county. Tri-County includes it as a part of its active transportation system. And we are governed by an all-volunteer board. We have an all-volunteer crew that maintains it and works with our partner municipalities to build, maintain, and work with preservation of the Greenbelt. Our application is prompted by the city's approval of the Tunnel Towers development in South Harrisburg. And I won't go into detail on who they are, what they are, but the bottom line is the footprint of their property lands right on the historic route of the Greenbelt in South Harrisburg. And consequently, the Greenbelt in South Harrisburg has been severed. From the time the Veterans Outreach of Pennsylvania development started, which is also in that neighborhood, the area has been closed off. We've been using a detour that relies on Sycamore Street to Cameron Street and then back in down where the Q used to be. And because we now are permanently severed due to the approval of the Tunnel Tower development, we're working on a permanent alternate route to restore the connection of the trail in that area. We did have in the supplemental application that we sent to you a sketch of the area that shows the historic route of the trail as well as the proposed reroute. The reroute we're doing in 2 phases. The first phase is to widen the sidewalk on Sycamore Street from Front Street to about the driveway for Pensy Supply. And then from there, the second phase is to reconnect to the trail, and that will either be done by a switchback to the Pensy property or a street crossing into the Cumulus Media cell tower property, and then reconnecting with the trail there in the vicinity of Chinoy Street. We have an application pending, and this gets to the questions that you had. We have application pending with DCD for an LSA grant for $1 million with the cooperation and actual sponsorship of the city. And that application just went in on November 27th. We expect to hear by summer on whether that's been approved or not. And that's going to be the primary funding for phase 1 of the project. And that will be matched in part by the grant application that we were making to you for $75,000, and then additional funding that we've raised from various civic organizations. The second phase, timing will be dependent on other grant applications that will be submitted to the Commonwealth later this year, as well as the ongoing negotiations we're having with the property owners on securing these through their properties to allow us to make the connection. The project is on schedule. We met just this afternoon, and that's partly why we weren't here early. We met with the president of Pensy Supply. It was a very positive meeting. That's our preferred route for the reconnection. Obviously, he wasn't in a position today to give us a final answer, but we hope to hear something timely. And if we are able to secure that easement, we're able to secure the grant, then we expect that we'll be going to construction sometime in late 2025 after we define the design work and the final city approvals. But we are confident that that schedule can be met, and we believe that the funding we're applying for here is going to be critical to help us get approval for that grant application and to keep the project moving in a timely way. This, as I note, is a revised application. The original one we sent to you in September envisioned a route through the Tony Towers property. That wasn't able to be accomplished, and that's why the revised proposal was submitted back in the middle of December, and that's the one I've just described to you. Mike, I don't know if you have anything you want to add, otherwise we'd be happy to take your questions.
So Sycamore Street's still gonna be part of it, and so you got the fancy.
Sycamore Street will still be part of it, and right now Sycamore Street's the detour. Cyclists typically on the road, pedestrians on the sidewalk. And we have completed an engineering feasibility study. We use Wilson engineers, and that's the drawing that was in the supplemental packet. And what we would be doing is widening the sidewalk to 10 feet. And so that would be a wide enough walkway to accommodate both cyclists and pedestrians. Obviously, that narrows Sycamore Street a bit, but that was part of the engineering feasibility study to make sure they would still meet PennDOT qualifications and not include traffic in the way. That is the conclusion that our engineers reached.
It's not too busy down there on Sycamore Street anyway. It's not too busy down there.
And at peak hours for the PennDOT building.
Oh, that's right.
But because Front Street's one way, it's an egress for Shy Poke, nominally used, and otherwise you have just PennDOT traffic.
How did you lose your other access? Was that never?
The veterans thing.
Well, no, but I mean, you never had an easement or anything like
That's
that previously? That it was a revocable easement, okay?
No.
Back in, I was part of the process to get us access, or to get the city access for the rebuilt trail in South Harrisburg. At that time, I worked with the Secretary of DCNR, and he personally helped us get the permissive use agreements with the private property owners in South Harrisburg. Since that, and they were always, we were allowed to put in the trail. Public access was permitted. We were allowed to make improvements and did make improvements. And the understanding was that at some point when the properties were developed, that we would have a chance to negotiate a permanent solution. But when push came to shove, that didn't happen on this particular parcel.
Do you foresee that happening anywhere else on your?
No, it won't. The remainder of the greenbelt is either owned by the city or our other partner municipalities, or if it's private property, we have secured easements that are recorded in the name of the host municipality. It's just the properties down here, and there were three. There's one here along Front Street, this larger parcel here, which is where Tony Towers is going, and then a third parcel over here. All three remain private. And as Mike indicates, we have letters of permission, but they do not rise to the level of easements.
And once you do this investment, will you have those permissions?
Yes. Yes. The easy part is that, of course, in Sycamore is all city. The easements, we would get recorded easements from either of these property owners, and that would be part of the consideration. And then just immediately south of Sycamore Street, it reconnects to city property.
Any other questions?
Can you address the other funding sources that were previously mentioned, the Dauphin Foundation, the foundation, what's the status of those?
Sure, yes. We have received $10,000 from Klein Foundation, $15,000 from the Rails to Trails Corporation, $10,000 from the Stable Foundation, $20,000 from the Comfort Foundation, and we were told, shall we say, the check is in the mail for $30,000 from Tony Towers Foundation. $30,000 from Tony Towers.
I just have one comment about, I label this as urgency. We've seen accidents on the detour already. I personally have seen an accident while I've been working on the green belt down there and another person was taken to the emergency room because of the current situation, the detour conflicts. We also received a letter has been sent to the Fight Club expressing concerns about the safety issue. In addition, what's really concerning is that the trail has been actively open for since 1996. People are used to the trail. What's happening is people are using the trail and then crossing the Amtrak and Norfolk Southern main lines. I have a rather dramatic picture of it, I think, but to see two people carrying their bicycles crossing the tracks is a huge concern for us. And despite the fact that we have signs up, it, kind of like water runs downhill. It's an easy but not so safe alternative. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we're trying to work so closely with the city and state officials and you folks to get a resolution of this issue.
In part, to give you a sense of the city's commitment to this, the Tunnel to Towers development was approved in early November, and within 2 weeks of that, the city had signed on to the grant application we submitted to DCED. So, the rapid turnaround and capacity of the city and interest in the city in securing funding for the project, I think is indicative of their support. Promotion as well, we do have quite a few letters of community support. Most of those were included in the original application, but they applied because obviously their support was for reconnection of the trail, regardless of the route, as long as it was one that was safe, attractive, and environmentally sound. That's what we're working on. One of the highlight ones for us is the National 9/11 Memorial Trail we host through that section as well, and they've given us some other support.
Anything else? Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will we see you again?
I may become family friends.
We'll have your name
No,
tag
yeah.
there.
I think I started in October, so it's been quite a while. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let them know what they got to do. We have water and.
This is talking about PIT.
Oh, wow.
Let's wait for Ron to come here. Back in here. Yeah, right.
So is that your, I didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just follows yours.
hopefully not down the hall.
Yeah. What am I missing?
Okay. Broad Street Market, Harrisburg. All right, good afternoon. So, this meeting's being broadcast, so it's out there on the screen. For your information, as well, you are sharing this half hour with Porter's House. So, you'll get approximately 15 minutes. I'll put time up to 12, so if we're assuming we need to wrap things up, get to the end. Please identify yourself for the record once you get started. So whenever you're ready, where's yours?
You want to use this?
Just speak loud. That's
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and discuss our application, which is co-applied for alongside the city of Harrisburg with you all today. My name is Eric Haggerty. I'm serving as the chair of the Broad Street Market Alliance, which is a nonprofit 501c3 that is responsible for maintaining the day-to-day operations of the Broad Street Market, which is a little unique in that the land and the buildings are owned by the city of Harrisburg, but a nonprofit is responsible for actually administering the operations. As you all know, the brick building suffered a tragic fire in July of 2023. I was asked to join the board as a volunteer in January of 2024 because there were some difficulties in getting temporary structure up and background in state government. I think the idea was that I might be able to move things along a little more quickly. Upon joining the board, I pretty quickly discovered in looking through the office and bank statements that this was a pretty significantly mismanaged organization for quite some time. Discovered well over $50,000 in unpaid and delinquent bills to contractors, insurers, all sorts of folks that the market owed money to. And on top of that, discovered that the prior executive director was misappropriating funds, which we have received restitution payment for in conjunction with the guilty plea appropriation of Dauphin County District Attorney for their office's support in helping us bring that case to closure. And so in sort of quickly discovering all of that at the start of 2024, I chose, along with two other fellow board members, to volunteer for free and sort of serving as the executive directors of the market on a day-to-day basis. So many of us who are fortunate to have work from home, remote jobs, we've sort of been working from home, from the market for free all year to try to turn things around. And I'm really proud of all the progress we've made throughout 2024. We paid off all of the prior unpaid bills. We now have basic organizational things in place that should have been in place long before: workers' comp insurance, insurance for the building, a whole variety of legal compliance policies that should have been in place. And this is all sort of compounded by the fact that Broad Street Market's business model has really not been the most effective. I think the fire sort of revealed a lot of underlying issues. One is that the market, since the fire, has lost 70% of its operating revenue because the vendors who were previously in the brick building are no longer, of course, paying rent. So the same cost structure existed without the same revenue streams. And so by volunteering our time throughout the year and really taking a fine-tooth comb throughout every expenditure, I'm really proud that we ended the year actually with solvency for the first time in my tenure in serving on the board. We've got vendors coming back to the market now. We've got $350,000 grant from the state that was deposited into our account in November. And so it's been an amazing process to see us go from having $14,000 at the start of 2024 to now, I don't go to sleep every night worrying that PBL's going to shut off the utilities. So with that said, the market still has significant challenges. We're fortunate that the state is helping cover our operating expenses through that grant through the end of 2026, when we anticipate the city will complete the restoration project of the brick building. And then we'll be bringing in tenant revenue again. But we have significant capital needs. The stone building in particular has a really a roof in really bad shape, leaks regularly, forces certain stands to have to close on operating days. If it's raining, and we've sent 5 or 6 times people up to try to repair the roof, and we're told that it needs a total replacement. However, as a nonprofit with no capital reserve, we don't have the funds to make that type of capital investment necessary to replace the roof. So as we continue to rebound from the fire, again, very appreciative of your consideration of this $100,000 application to replace the roof in the stone building as we continue to sort of march toward the end of 2026 when the brick building reopens. That was a lot. I want to give you time to ask questions.
So you're the tenant and the city owns the roof. Why would you be replacing the roof?
That's an excellent question, and it's because the lease that the city signed with the Broad Street Market Alliance in 2017 stipulates that the nonprofit is responsible for capital improvements, even though it's a city-owned asset.
Is that an improvement or is that maintenance?
We're responsible for maintenance and capital improvement, both, yes. And I'm actually coming from a meeting with the city's law bureau, and I know the long-term goal is to renegotiate that lease so that it doesn't work. Obviously, an entity with no revenue stream is incapable of maintaining.
Well, what did I see this morning about another building being built between the two? We're going to build a new building and we can't maintain what we have.
Yeah, I'll address that. So the city is going to receive millions of dollars in insurance revenue from the brick building fire. The insurance revenue will cover the restoration of the brick building. The city, which again, I have to distinguish between the city and the Broad Street Market Alliance. The mayor is considering attempting to cobble together funds to also build a third structure that is not anything to do with our application, and I can't really speak to that as that's a city decision. I've encouraged the mayor and the mayor's office to conduct some thorough public vetting of a decision like that. My focus is on finishing the brick building, maintaining the stone building. I similarly have, it's been a very long year of us getting to a place where we're operationally sound. So I have serious questions about the use of the third structure, who's gonna pay to maintain it, service it, what the demand is from a tenant standpoint. But that's all sort of speculative and unrelated to our application.
What percentage of vendors do you think will obtain back into?
So, I'm gonna caveat this by saying that the layout isn't finalized yet, and that also is up to the mayor's office, but I would expect there to be around 40 stands available in the brick building. We've got 8 off the bat that are currently operating in a temporary structure that will, of course, go into the brick building as they were displaced by the fire. We've got a handful of folks who were displaced by the fire in the stone building at the moment. They will likely transition to the brick building again where their home was. I think the reality is that several of the businesses that operated out of the brick building are not coming back, because they had to make their own business decisions about moving to another location or closing their businesses permanently. I hear every week from former vendors who are, asking for updates, so there's definite interest, but I would expect there to be a mix of former tenants and new businesses that have sort of cropped up in the last 3 years.
You mentioned that you received a grant from the Commonwealth. I think you said it was $350,000. Do you know what department of the Commonwealth you would call that?
Department of Community and Economic Development. And that is, it's an unrestricted grant, so we have the ability to use it for operating funds. And that is what is sort of helping keep us operationally afloat throughout the next 2 years.
What actual grant is that?
CEAP is the acronym.
So the city got the insurance money, and they're gonna be in charge of the rebuild. Do you have any input on that?
We meet regularly with the city, and of course, we have representatives from the city on our board. There are a variety of sort of avenues to provide input, but it is ultimately up to the city.
I have a question. So the proposed roof replacement project on the stone building, owned by the city, managed by the Alliance for Applicant. Will the Alliance for Applicant have full control over that project or capital improvement? Not include city steps of bidding and selecting and awarding.
So we will be subject to ordinary public
That's fine, I mean,
requirements.
just.
We would conduct the procurement, not the city, although we, of course, prevailing wage and separations act and.
Yeah, just.
Do you have a permit for anyone?
That's a good question.
With
that,
I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is the back and forth we're seeing between the mayor and the council on this brick building and it's all intent. You won't have to go through those steps.
Which is also, I think, one of the reasons the state is interested in investing their funds in the alliance to ensure efficient use of the funds. With that said, we of course want to work in tandem with the city. If they, for example, dedicate some amount of funds to installing air conditioning in the stone building, for example, which is something they're considering, we, through our procurement process, will want to make sure that our contractor uses appropriate insulation to account for future HVAC upgrades. So there'll be coordination, but the funds would go into the market alliances account. We would conduct the procurement.
Specifically in this program, the board, the awards that are usually recommended, they would like to see projects that they have confidence to move forward and not stall or had roadblocks or things that you really were predicted. And so the idea that, you know, airlines are on the process outside of many other things that are being done, and other projects that are going on.
So you indicated that you wanted to renegotiate your lease and be responsible for estimate of things. Would that be helpful if we were able to assist with funding that we have some sort of stipulation, or would that hamper the ability for you to go?
It's an interesting question. I don't want to give the impression that the city is uninterested in renegotiating the lease. We are not far enough along in negotiations for me to have a sense of their position on assuming.
So that's not fair to put you on the spot. Why don't you at least take that back to some folks and respond?
There are also,
in an email.
okay, yeah, happy to. And there are a variety of other things in the lease that I think need to be corrected. There's a provision that requires us to have no more than 10% of our fund balance. Our fund balance cannot be more than 10% of our annual expenditures. I'm in violation of that right now because we have a grant from the state. So there are a lot of basic things that I think when this was done in 2017 don't really reflect real world practicalities.
Any other questions?
I admire you, Eric. Good luck.
Yeah, you're very kind. I had no idea what I was signing up for when they asked me to join the board, but it's been a very rewarding year. I've been on the market for a decade and have been.
Yeah, how is that tent across the way? I mean, I've been down there a few times myself, and I think it seems to be working.
Yeah, I think from the standpoint of the vendors, you know, they're grateful to be users, right? We're talking about people who went months without income. With that said, foot traffic is probably like 60 to 70% of what they would have experienced in the brick building. Part of the challenge is that a huge swath of the public still does not know the market is open. You know, a lot of people think that the brick building was the entire market burned down, for example. So we're continuing to try to implement robust marketing efforts to address that. The other difficulty with the tent, just from a cost standpoint, is that electric utilities are enormous. It's like $5,000 a month just for electric in that place for air and heating, which has been an added burden for a TV perspective. The stone building is about $1,000 a month in electricity, so we're paying 5 times that in the tent for just 8 vendors. So, but that's a temporary thing, right?
Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you. Really appreciate your time. If any of you having trouble falling asleep tonight, I've got some very boring financial documents if you want to go through any of our budgets or expenditures.
Hello.
Warehouse.
Maybe, what a house.
Is that where it is right here? All right.
I'm looking for it up there.
slow down. Did you get one for the toilet? You only take it yourself?
Yeah.
All righty. So your time slot is allotted for roughly 15 minutes. And just so you know, we are live streamed to where, I don't know. Exactly. I don't think it's on Facebook. I'm not sure how it's carried, but I don't know if that matters. Unless you want to go home and see yourself. But, so I'll put a timer on for 12 minutes, right? Because if that goes off, we need to wrap things up for the next after. Please identify yourself for the record as well before we get started. So whenever you're ready, just let me know. All yours.
I'm Nadine Graham, CEO of Porter's House, LLC, Authentic Jamaican Food Cuisine. Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
I'm here to present, apply to my grant because I'm based in the community. I've been in Broad Street Market for almost 13 years. I was affected by the fire tremendously, not directly, but indirectly. That's number one. Number two, I'm in the Uptown area. I evolved to the Uptown area during COVID. And it's been a struggle to keep up due to the economy effect. And I heard about the grant, I applied for the grant. And one of the benefits is to create some jobs for the Uptown community. I support the housing stand, it operated the introduction as a drive-through service and modernize the kitchen. The estimated 3 to 4 jobs will be added in the Uptown location. These include drive-through attendants, manager. I'm a little nervous because I know the I know I'm bothered.
Everybody else sits.
You sit, you can do
I
whatever you want.
could, yes, but I'll stand up and you guys can sit. Add some jobs to the Uptown community and also a facelift to the Uptown community as it's growing. This means employment opportunity, particularly those seeking jobs in food service industry by creating stable employment and potential for growth. The project will help to reduce unemployment rates and contribute to the county's overall economic health. Beyond direct job creation, the project will also support local suppliers and contractors who will engage in the construction, installation, ongoing maintenance for the equipment of the facility. The ripple effect of the economy, activity, and contribution to the local economy, ensuring the more business benefit from the restaurant growth. And then I think my food is quality food, opposed to fast food up to so in introduction of the drive-through service for the house will provide greater access to high quality, affordable food for the residents of Dauphin County by offering the convenient and efficient way for customers to order meal without leaving their vehicle, and drive-through system will appeal to busy individuals, families who may not have time to traditionally drive in service. This enhances accessibility and especially value for residents with mobility challenges for those seeking more convenient dining options. In the area where food deserts are concerned, having accessibility and nutritious meal options are greatly improve community health to customers. Porter's House is known for its quality home cooked meal that prioritize fresh ingredients from the local markets, local farmers, and this upgrade will allow more people of the community to accept those meals. The expansion of the drive-through service and ensure during peak hours more customers can serve quickly, reduce wait time, and increase overall customer satisfaction. As part of the larger efforts to revitalize 6th Street corridor, Porter House plays a key role in attracting food customers and vehicle traffic to the area. The restaurant upgrade will enhance its status as a community anchor, drawing more visitors and supporting the economy regeneration of the neighborhood. The kind of business growth fosters a sense of the community pride and encourage further investments in local businesses and infrastructure.
We got you.
Okay.
We're picking up what you put down.
You're good.
I had other stuff I wanted to do with like sitting outside, but I did not. Because if you notice, my bid was like the amount I was asking for prior, it was high, but they did not come in time when I submitted my applications.
So yeah, so you revised your request down to 46?
Yes.
Have they come in now, those bids?
I had gotten them later, but they weren't involved when I was initially putting it in, so I just kind of cut it down to what I had.
So with this revised amount, if you weren't able to get all of that, I think I saw an Excel spreadsheet, sort of costs for things. Would there be a priority in those items? And there was upgrade kitchen equipment 22, drive-through equipment 18, computer 2. Would there be, or yeah, would there certain items that would be in greater demand, or do you have to have it all for you to be able to open the drive-through?
Yeah. More likely.
Any other questions?
So the chairman's, a follow-up to the chairman's question, based on the items that you're requesting, is there one or more that would, help you? Because it sounds like you're trying to, raise additional revenue by making some of these changes and upgrades. Would the kitchen help that more quickly? Would the drive-through help that more quickly? The updated computer equipment?
I would say the kitchen equipment would be more vital.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is this a 7-day week operation?
I would love to,
Okay.
but for now, because I'm not,
I don't want you to burn out.
and that's why I wanted to hire someone.
Okay.
But the area is calling for 7 days, really, but I don't know.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Best of
it.
luck to you here.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. See you. That's it. She's about your best. You got a little bit?
Yeah, my arms are fine. So is my body.
Just checking. My hands are a little cold. Sorry, still organizing the votes. So, yes, nearly good evening, so thank you for coming, and I appreciate your patience there. Your folks are allotted roughly, 15 minutes. Share this with this time slot with another applicant. We are being live streamed, and I will set a timer for 12 minutes, so when the timer goes off, we need to wrap things up. The applicant apology. The other thing is please identify yourself for the public record. So whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
I'll start now. My name is Samira Scott. I am the Executive Director and CEO for Beehive Affordable Housing Outreach Incorporated. I apologize in advance for my voice and if I start coughing because I am not feeling really well, but I'm going to be here today. So I prepared a little presentation just to give you a year in review. We were grateful to receive $19,500 from the local share grant last year, and we used it for its purpose. So our mission is with Beehive. Our mission is clear: to provide residents of Dauphin County and neighboring areas with access to affordable housing by creating opportunities for them to secure and sustain it. And this is our inspiring and dynamic board. So a couple of pictures from some of our events that we had that are all fundraisers. Long list of people, but they range from a funeral director manager with a finance background, an insurance salesperson, Denise Hill, I'm sure all of you are familiar with, executive director for President Housing is our secretary. We have our two newest members I'll mention are Ashley Monaco. She is the branch manager for Members First on Eisenhower Boulevard, and Madonna Awabi is the center director for this Community for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Strawberry Square. It's affiliated with Harrisburg University. We actually have a space down at their site that they allow us to use for Beehive. So how we started, anyone who didn't get to see our presentation last year, our founders, which is myself essentially and my husband, took a leap of faith borrowing against our house and our retirement plans to launch Beehive. We used that money to purchase 2 homes, which we have since been able to start rehab on. This made it possible for us to do that, creating much needed affordable housing options for the county. So we have 2 different programs that we support at this time. Hive Creation, so that is essentially purchasing homes, renovating and selling them at an affordable rate. That has allowed us to launch our second program, which is called Hive Savings Assistance. You may, if you were part of this last year, saw some of these pictures. This was our home located at 2656 Jefferson Street, which the local gaming grant helped us to complete. We were then able to first rent this out for a housing choice voucher candidate who had the opportunity to then purchase her home. So we allowed her out of that lease without any issues. And then we decided to sell the home. We wanted to do high savings assistance, which for us is rental assistance, so helping with security deposits, eviction prevention. We've actually had someone that we were able to help in York County with losing their house for taxes. So we typically are able to provide up to $500 a month with that. But allowing us to sell this home allowed Beehive to get out of debt, essentially, so we were able to pay me that, my retirement, and then we were able to take that money and pour it into our high savings assistance program. So that allowed us $10,000, and this happened in September, so very excited to finally have gotten that done, to be able to pour into our high savings assistance program. I don't know if this will play or not, but I have become a regular on Good Day PA. Awesome resource in this area for us to be able to talk about our mission, but this essentially is talking about how we took the opportunity to use that home, rehab it, and be able to continue to build upon Beehive. So far, with us being able to roll out the high savings assistance, this was something that was very much on my mind when I started Beehive. However, what I didn't think about was who was actually going to pay for this, where that money was going to come from outside of grants. So again, purchasing that home has allowed us to do that. To this point, we have served 32 clients, and so sorry about that 2 months because that was from the end of last year. But from September until now, January, we have served 32 clients. So those 32 clients have all received some type of assistance up to $500. Actually, all of them have been $500 for eviction prevention, security deposits, and tax abatement. We've also done 5 referrals. The referrals are for things like new digs, if you're familiar with them. Many of our people that go into their homes have nothing. Many of them go from homelessness into house, and so they have no beds, no couches. New Digs is a great nonprofit that allows them to go over and essentially shop for the items that they need in their house. One of the things that we've been able to require since we have self-funded the high savings assistance is we require our candidates to take financial literacy classes. So that's why we have had 9 out of the 32. We have sessions already scheduled for January and February, and the other ones are listed under that one currently. Oh, also, I'm sorry, let me add to that 32 number. I was wondering why I was a little high. We also have recently contracted with Dauphin County for the ERAP program, so we are doing their intensive case management for their housing. And so that actual 12 of those 32, we just got them from Salvation Army, and I am having their initial intake interviews tomorrow. And we have 12 to start out. There's another 28 on the waiting list, and we are sharing that with, can't even think of the other nonprofit, but 2 of them are sharing that. So that's that. So I just highlighted a couple of our best moments. This was a single mother of 2 who had been homeless and living in a hotel with her children. She received support from us to secure a new home with her security deposit. We actually got 2 of these pictures. I just picked one, and that made my day. Something that's not added on here, Christmas Eve, we had a lady we had been working with for 3 months to get into the new project out on Allison Hill. It's called TLC by Tara Castile. We were able to help her get her security deposit and pick up her keys on Christmas Eve. And so that was awesome for her to be able to be in her home on Christmas Eve. She actually sent me a Happy New Year text yesterday. So that always makes me feel good. This is again talking about some of my best moments. This was actually the very first time that we were able to deliver high savings assistance. So I actually went out to one of the apartment complexes and delivered the $500 check and just kind of took a happy moment picture there. These are again some of our fundraisers and events. Make Your Hive a Home is really where we allow people to come in, clients or not clients, to come in and shop. We have plenty of people who donate home goods, and they come in and essentially try to make their hive a home, whether they're getting into a new home, they have a home that they're just not able to furnish or decorate the way they like, we're able to do that. Shade of Honey Gala, we are now going into our 3rd year. It's April the 27th, and that is our biggest fundraiser. And this year will be held at Purcell Hall and Hershey. And yeah, one of our big fundraisers. It's a fun one. We all dress up in different shades of yellow. It's a pretty one. Friendsgiving is more of a fellowship event. And that one is more so where we want to network. Everybody kind of writes a little note of what they're thankful for, and we pick a couple of them. What was really, really cool about this year's was one of the ones, actually, maybe the one that I showed with the keys. I invited her, and I said, you don't have to tell anyone who you are. Just come and enjoy yourself. And she did. And she actually wrote on her note, she was really thankful for Beehive. And again, no one knew who she was. She had since reached out several times, even yesterday, and said, I'm really going to volunteer. I'm in a better place. So again, these are the little things that we don't necessarily publicize that are really making an impact within our community. These are just some of the grant highlights. I know some of the feedback questions asked us about what were some of our grant opportunities. We, for the second year in a row, got the TPEC Martin Sachs grant, the gaming grant from last year. Dauphin County CDBG, we got the Fair grant for $75,000, which allows us to completely rehab the other home we have at 127 North Summit Street. So again, not having to borrow again, so it'll be nice. And then we landed with the Dauphin County ERAP. So not only are we doing the case management, we also received, I believe, a $290,000 grant, which will allow us to purchase the home connected to 127 North Summit Street. What I was afraid of is we're going to sink $75,000 into this house and it's going to be connected to a house that looks horrible. So we've now been in conversations with the owner of that house who had bought it for $1,000 in March of 23 and done nothing to it about purchasing it. And so the money from that housing grant will allow us to purchase that as well as rehab that, and they are going to be done by June 30th of 2025. And then we've gotten support from local organizations, Walmart, Rotary Club. We recently were invited to apply for a grant through a company called Maximus, and you have to be nominated from their employees. We were nominated from 2 employees, so we're very excited about the opportunities that are showing themselves to be home. So here's the 2025. As I mentioned, we're partnering as the contractor for DCED ERAP case management. We're doing the rehabilitation of North Summit Street and acquiring the adjoining property. We're advancing the development of our first high affordable housing community. One of the bigger projects for high creation for me is going to be land development. I want to develop an affordable housing community. And I know there are a lot of them coming up in the area, but it's something that I think is necessary. And the difference from what I'm looking at is these houses will be rent to own. So after a year, the individuals will be in the program, as long as they're paying their rent and everything on time, they will be offered the opportunity to have a rent to own. And the difference between us and the bank is that we will own the property and we'll be able to give creative options. So yes, you may have been evicted in the last 5 years. That shouldn't necessarily stop you if you're in a better place in your life and you've been able to prove that. And then we want to expand our team with the addition of a navigator to support our mission, because right now it's primarily me. I'm the face, I'm the worker, I'm kind of everything, but I love it. And I stopped working my full-time job as the HR director in May, and this is my full-time job now. And so a navigator really, case manager and navigator, really what they would be doing is helping a lot with the intakes of our clients and making sure they got the appropriate referral services. I have recently had to help people with applying for county benefits and things like that. And I think I'm relatively smart most of the time, and it's a little difficult for me. So I know that a lot of people need a helping hand, and one of the things I want to look for with that is a bilingual person, because we have gotten our first, and I would call myself fluent, but when I was talking to her, I didn't feel fluent in Spanish anymore. So I would like a bilingual Spanish navigator, if at all possible, to continue to support the Beehive mission. And our request today is specifically to help us reimburse for some of the costs that we're going to incur from Beehive for these rehabs, because it also allows us to put that money back to do the high savings assistance, so to continue to offer those emergency assistance programs, but also allows us for capacity building with our contractors, as well as to put this navigator position in place. Any questions?
You plan on, when you rehab the Southern Street property, are you gonna sell those?
We are not. Those two are going to be rental properties, which is, again, most nonprofit job goal is to become self-sufficient. So obviously, the more properties that we get that we're collecting rent will provide a long-standing income for Beehive.
So at what point do you see that being self-sufficient?
I'm going to say it's going to be another couple of properties, honestly, for us to be self-sufficient, because to keep them affordable, I wouldn't want to charge more than $1,400 a month for rent. And between taxes and so forth, it would be, we probably need at least 6 to 7 properties to be able to say we're self-sufficient, because we run on a shoestring budget. I try to keep it as small as possible. I have been a for-profit business before, and I realized that the biggest cost was overhead, so I'm in no way interested in taking a lot of overhead. That's just not necessary.
That is a great segue. I'm Denise Britton, working very closely with Samira, Donna Shula to my left. I think you all know that you've seen this before with the senior fellows with the Social Enterprise Institute. So actually, when we're finished here, we're just going to stay, hang out for a while. But to that point, when she talked about for-profit business and understanding the dynamics of business and affordability and so forth,
we are part of her contracting in the business model that she's creating. In the nonprofit world, I think probably all of you know that one of the biggest issues has been operations and not being able to afford what you need to afford in order to get the job done. So it's been the chicken or the egg, what are you gonna do? And so this model allows her to be able, and with us, and this is the model that we help through collective impact. She knows as much as she does by herself, that's one of the things that we're here for, is a reminder she can't. And that we need to continue to get her help and to expand, so we're all about the navigator. But in that also, what are the resources that you do need in order to get it done? And so the resources that she has, if she can contract what she needs for what would otherwise be overhead in an organizational design, you have more invested dollars that can actually go in for missional impact. So that's why we work together, and we, in that capacity as well, can identify who in the community can we bring together as partners to forward the broad vision of affordable housing. What I love about Samara is, one, her energy, she gets things done, but two, she also recognizes that it's not just one piece or another that's all about affordable housing. There's a continuum that needs to be addressed, and she's filling the gaps.
I'd also like to add to that is her desire to do a holistic approach to the individual. It's not just putting people in houses and being able to afford those houses and being able to stay there. It's actually building up the person themselves. And she is definitely has a heart to making sure that the person has the capacity not only to pay their bills, but to actually support the community and be a community investment.
So I heard this is to be a reimbursement. I thought I heard when you were talking.
She would, in order for her to continue, she's got to make the outlay. She's got to keep going. So she would have the invoices to be able to ask for reimbursement.
That's how we present them now, is the reimbursement.
No, I like that because you were saying something about to be able to pay for somebody. So if it's a reimbursement, it's not like we're actually paying directly
Yes.
for a service.
Because one of the questions that you answered was how, if you were awarded local share funds, how would you use them? And so the response is contracted services, program oversight, and management, or organizational growth. And maybe what the chairman is getting at is, would this be, directly paying someone's salary, or could you explain how it would work?
Okay. So no, these are all contracted services. The only position that we really are looking for at this point is the navigator position. That is one position that we want to build in, and doesn't necessarily have to be supported by this grant, but we would do very much like we do this time. Everything is reimbursed in regards to submitting an invoice and getting it paid back. Can I answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Your high savings assistance program, how does that work?
So employees, so right now, because we have a bunch of employees, people called in the beginning of this month, so actually yesterday, and it's the first full week, so yesterday, 8 a.m., our phones open up, people call in, it's first come, first served, we don't have a waiting list, and we usually are able to take up to the first 4 to 6 people depending on our funding that month. We have an automated application process, so they go through it online, they're able to make the attachments online, and then I have the initial call, then I have a second call. They are then followed up whether they got approved or denied. They do have to complete our financial literacy class before that is issued. And that's the way we've been working it since September. Of course, tweaking it every month because, some people didn't attend financial literacy class. So now we put that in the head. So, as I'm moving, I'm learning.
The cap on that is?
$500. $500, and they can use it once a year. One of the things that we've added is that they cannot have had an eviction in the last 12 months, and that they must be employed or at least have some kind of a sustainable income, because the goal would not to have them be back here, next month using another program for the services.
I would have never known you weren't feeling what you did next time.
I'm sweating. I'm sweating under here.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Okay, my dear, take care. Feel better. Do you want us to leave and come back in?
Do you need to get any steps? I don't know. Oh, jeez.
She's a fireball.
She's gonna say she's not
Yeah. I wish it was contagious.
You're welcome.
You can tell that her previous experience in HR is definitely helping her.
Okay. Thank you. You told me I need to get my steps in.
Did he get? We'll save myself a couple of words because you already noticed.
Yes, we do.
You might get a couple of minutes back.
Right.
When you're ready.
Okay, we're good. So we did respond to the questions that you had, but I just handed you was some additional information that kind of supports the questions about our timeline and the work that we've been doing and will be doing in 2025. I think it's great to have Myra come in first and her talking about the feasibility and the effectiveness of her business model. She recognizes that she wants to have more impact and she wants to be able to use community resources in the most effective and leveraged way. And so when we met her, our focus was social enterprise. Both Donna and I have been working in the area in the system of collective impact advancement for some time. And we're big believers. We've also had years, I certainly have years, 40 years of experience in the nonprofit community. And I can certainly speak volumes and testify to how challenging it can be in the nonprofit community. Such amazing people and great talent. And we have been hamstrung in the way we have tried to move forward and address social determinants of health. And how do we interrupt, really get to the root issues of the things we say we want to attend to and have sustainable impact. So the system of collective impact allows for us to rethink how we are going to do business together. And so using Samira and housing, affordable housing as an example. When we heard what she wanted to do, actually her model and what she's doing is very familiar to what we were doing when we were operating with Shalom House. We did very much the same thing. We looked at what's the continuum going to be for individuals so that they were not just being housed, but they were actually moving in a progression forward so that they would be independently sustainable. Because we're not doing that, then just as she said, we're going to see the recidivism that's going to happen over and over again. If we know that the way we've been operating is not bringing us the results that we want, how many of us know that we do the same things, we're going to get the same results? Something has to change. So in that capacity, we had the opportunity of meeting the Social Enterprise Institute, and through them learned how to start rethinking, reimagining how we can serve community and really interrupt root issues of critical social issues, and started to build relationships in the community. We started looking at even now, some of the most critical issues of persons experiencing homelessness or near homelessness or poverty issues is transportation, workforce development, early childhood learning, and really knowing how to navigate anything, generational poverty, all of these different things, health concerns, unexpected issues that come up in anyone's life. These things, they're not new and they haven't gone away. And we look at the comprehensive plan for the county, we look at the comprehensive plan for the city, and the same data comes up over and over again. And it's like, okay, what do we need to do different? We couldn't, just like she can't, do everything together. If you're familiar with Shalom House, it's a small agency. And yet, when people come in with big problems, we either can say, sorry, we can't help you. That doesn't change the magnitude of their problems. So what do we need to do to change as a provider? And the way you do that is you start building bridges of relationship, and you look for the assets in your community and you organize them differently. And that's what we've been doing with Samira, and that's what we've been doing in the sphere of education over the last year. Last year, we were provided funding to start looking at how to do metrics and how to be better at reporting and assessing the work that we do. We don't want garbage in, garbage out reporting. We want to know exactly what we're doing. We want to know if it's effective. We want to know if there's impact. We want to know if we have to change course. We have to make a pivot so that we can actually get to the results we said we want to get to. For the nonprofit community, all of these things, we talk about these things so much And then we go back to the same, well, we're very busy, and we get caught up in the same standards over and over again, and we come back to the table and have the same conversation. We don't want the same conversation, and we want our partners, and we want the community to be and have the success they say they want to have. So what we have done is, and I'm going to use education by way of example, last year, we connected with some community partners. One of them was the Bridge ecosystem. You're probably familiar with that. Wild Heart Ministries, we are working with the Dauphin County Library System, the Harrisburg School District, by way of example. And the objective was everybody wanted to do something more for you. We wanted to have more impact on you. So if everybody wants to have impact on you, why haven't we been able to organize our assets in a way where we could work more effectively together, more strategically together, using our assets better? And the answer is because we've been conditioned and trained in a system that promotes siloing, promotes competition, and not cooperation. So if you could interrupt that, if you know that's the case, and you can interrupt that and create a system that's going to bring people together and they can go focus on impact first, how might that change things? One of the questions that we have asked funders over the course of the last several years is, how does the system work? And having been the person that has written grants for organizations and run organizations, I'm fairly certain that I'm right on this. We know what the problems are. We get piles of money that are in various different pots. We send out RFPs. We have people respond with their applications to say what their project is and what they can do to make a difference. And so we parcel out those fundings based on, this is a project, these are the ones that seem to be the best. And we're gonna hope and see what happens when they come back. There's no coordination of services. There's no opportunity for people to really come together and to really say, you know what, what's the impact supposed to be? How do we get to that point? And how do we overcome the idea that we're gonna lose something if we bring people together and we do one application and we have all of the capacity stated at one time, and this is how it's gonna be happening? Well, that's what we did. We piloted an educational project in 2024. It was called the Evolve and Empower Summer Camp. It was 6 weeks. We had 25 students. We started out with 40. We limited it intentionally because it was a pilot. We want to learn. We want to start small and do things right, learn from our mistakes, and do better. And so out of that, 25 people came out. 25 students came out, and the objective was not a one-time project. It was what happens the day after the project is done. What have we done to set up the next day and the next day and the next day? So we started with that, and we talked with folks who were invested in impact first, wanted to do something for youth. That was the focus. And it ended up being, this lady right here is amazing at putting together the platform and all of the things that have to be put in order to keep things in order, keep things consistent, having people show up, figuring out what happens when they don't, and not losing sight that these kids deserve the best of what we can bring together as a full collective team. We can bring our team together because we're contracted. You pay for contracted services that mobilize an army to go and fill the capacity for organizations like Beehive, for organizations like the Bridge ecosystem, for organizations that are out there that are just starting up or ones that have been around. We can bring at the highest level, the best professionals, the most experience, and the greatest level of potential to wrap around organizations that have been there, that have the heart to be able to have impact, really make a difference and make it sustainable with the same dollars, multiplying the opportunity to invest in the impact through contracted services with a sound business model that brings back leverages the results that you cannot get in a traditional model. This document in front of you gives you a little bit more information as to the impact that we've had. Donna?
So my background is I've been in the retail business world for 30 plus years. Background in foods, Apple, and trading corporation. And when you look at an organization has multiple departments. In those multiple departments, everybody's assigned a role. But in those roles, they still have to communicate with the rest of the company. So what we bring to the table is when we have collective people coming together with the organizations. Some people call it collaboration. We call it collective impact. You can call it whatever you want, but collective impact is a system that houses collaboration. So with what we do, we actually bring organizations together and have them each look at what area of expertise do you have to offer? And that's where they offer it. And when they bring their collective together, that you have the greatest impact because it's their experience. It's what they do. And so with that, we've started teaching for nonprofits, you need to run your nonprofit like it's a business. You have to have a business model if you're going to be successful. So that's one thing that we bring to the table when we're working with all these different organizations. So it's like you don't have to hire all of these individuals because for us, when we worked with the Eco Village, it's like you only need us for 6 weeks. You need us for maybe 4 weeks ahead of time and maybe 2 weeks after, but you don't need us 52 weeks out of the year. So it's like getting them to understand a different way, a different model of how you utilize your resources to the best of your abilities and to have the greatest impact. So as Denise said, we started off with 40 students because we didn't want to go above that because we knew we didn't have the capacity for it, especially with it being our first year. During the course of the year, a lot of them dropped off in the very beginning because it wasn't a summer camp that they were used to. This was not a summer camp where we just provided, meals, you come in, you have a good time, we have activities. No, this was education. This was fun education. And it was partnering with individuals that understood that and wanted to be able to provide to these youth areas that they would never have been exposed to. So we talk about food literacy. What is food literacy? It's not nutrition. It's understanding the safety in the kitchen, how you put together a recipe, how to understand a recipe. So it all goes towards STEM. It is looking at the Autobahn. The Autobahn came in and they had the students understand the environment and, the atmosphere and IT, and they all have an education system that was based upon STEM. So the student was still getting the education, but they were still learning an area that they would have never understood about what is even available and out there for them. So here goes our timer. So I'm just gonna back up and I'm just gonna say that, for us, it is what we're able to offer to bringing and convening people around the table to bring all the resources and to have the greatest impact that you can have with youth, because that was our focus.
So youth is certainly an area, and it will be in 2025, so is affordable housing. I just want to say, I asked the question, what is the system of how we've distributed funds and how we've organized assets? Well, we are going to take that one step further now. We are asking the question of ourselves, and it's like, what if there's a better way? What if instead of waiting for applications to come, we take a look at the social determinants of health, and we're starting with education and housing. And what if you convene the best of the best stakeholders and you bring them together, and they are charged with not leaving the room until they determine what is it going to look like in 1 year and 5 years, or what it's going to take to actually get the job done, the root causes of what we want to get done in this period of time. You don't wait for applications, you put your capacity together first, and you take your capacity so your deliverables are going to be delivered. What business model would you bring to the table and say, we're going to hope for the best and hire as many staff as we figure out we need at the end of the day? No. Why aren't we taking this approach where it's like, we're solving problems now, and we're going to be serious about it, and we're going to take the capacity, and we're going to show you the platform. We're going to be the architects of our future, and we're putting the right people at the table, and we're going to get it done. That's what collective impact does, and I believe it's a sound investment.
Any questions? Thank you much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I could do more. Georgia knows that.
It's a good thing you had a timer.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thank
you.
Thanks.
Or technically. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, can we sit anywhere? Thank you so much.
Hi, how you doing?
The little remote right in front.
Oh, so PowerPoint?
Will hopefully work the PowerPoint. If
Okay.
not, I can, but it gives you an option to do it yourself. So I don't know, if you can try it, if not, I can do it. There we go. I think it's reversed, like up is.
Yeah, no, man. My son does.
Yeah, I'll be close to make sure that I'm.
Well, it's plugged into my computer.
Okay.
It's not set.
Okay, so it's right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you too. All right, so just to get things going here, you guys are sharing your time slot with Justice Learning Center. So you have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation. I'm going to set a timer for 12 minutes, so if we hear that going off, we need to wrap things up so that the other folks have their opportunity. Additionally, this is live streamed, so let you know that in advance here. Please identify yourselves with the public record, and whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Darlene Sanderson Davenport. I am the president of the Harrisburg High School Football Club.
Good evening. My name is Calvin Everett. I am the head football coach for Harrisburg High School as well as the athletic director.
And good evening, everyone. My name is Natasha Jones. I'm the secretary of the Harrisburg High School Football Booster Club, and I'm a supporter as well.
Okay. So the Harrisburg High School Football Booster Club is a district-supported organization comprised of parents and community members with the goal of ensuring our student athletes have equitable access and support and likeness as neighboring teams. As the football team of the inner city school district, student athletes need additional support that is not always covered by the district due to budgetary constraints. As the HHS FBC, we actively seek resources, donations, and community support for the 120 members of players and coaching staff that work diligently with our football team. We are seeking to be able to purchase new uniforms for the Mighty Cougar football team, which they have not had in 7 years. Also, with the awarding of grant funding, we will be able to purchase travel sweatsuits, travel backpacks, equipment such as iPads, and meals to feed our student athletes. As a team that conditions and competes year-round or at the highest level, we always want to align with in order to be the best. We must play at the best. With these necessities, we as a booster club can ensure our current 4-time reigning District 3 champion student athletes can solely focus on being the best, not only in the classroom, but on the football field. During the football season and along with games, meals can cost on the lower end of $500 weekly to cover the cost. In the off season, the Cougar football team competes in 7-on-7 tournaments. These showcases offer off-season work and team evaluations for our players. These exhibitions are held locally or at colleges and universities in and out of state. Over last spring and the summer, the Cougars competed in competitions at the following: Susquehanna Township High School, Manheim Central High School, Pennsylvania State University, and Rutgers University. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Coach Cal.
I just want to speak on behalf of Booster Club in terms of what it meant, what they mean to our football program. They started a few years ago, and prior to that, when I was the head, as the head football coach without the Booster Club, it was a major strain on me. Everything fell on me in terms of making sure our student athletes were fed, making sure they had proper attire, making sure, they had transportation to get to events, making sure, when student athletes needed certain things, whether it be shoes, cleats, shirts, everything was on me. Now with the Booster Club intact, and this is going on, what year is this now?
3.
This is the 3rd year now. It's been such a relief in terms of, all of the stress and responsibility that was placed on my shoulders. They do so much for us in terms of making sure all of our student athletes are fed the night before games. They make sure we are fed before games. They make sure we are fed even after games. They also, students need things, whether it's cleats, whatever it is, they make sure they get whatever it is that we need in our football program. And they even go as far as making sure that, outside of just the football team, other teams that are practicing, if they're around, they come in and they get fed as well. After football games, they're cooking, they have food all over the place for everyone to be able to eat in terms of the football program, as well as student athletes that participate in other sports. But long story short, they do so much for me and our football program that I can't even put it in words. And it's been such a relief, and it helps not only me, but they've been helping our program to be able to succeed and achieve at a high level.
I admire anybody that feeds high school guys.
Okay, so a little bit about some remarks from myself. Of course, I'm Natasha Jones. I am the secretary of the Harrisburg High School Football Booster Club. When I started, I was just a background supporter, just supporting, with Darnice, that's my best friend. So I'm just the auntie that's in the background, just supporting my nephews. But this year, she needed a little bit of additional help with me being aboard, helping with taking minutes for the Booster Club. But I started to come into a role of a supporter where she needed a little bit more for some support for the actual team. And I was just like, okay, well, what is it that you need? So here I am. I'm one of the ones that will be cooking meals for the team. I'm the one that will be taking some of the boys home if they need anything, getting some of the equipment that they may need on the fly for games that they may have forgotten. So it's been, for me, it's been very rewarding to be able to be of support for them. We're not just a club that's just passing out meals and different things like that. This club has really been passing out hope and confidence within these actual young men. And this information and the things that we're, being able to supply them, this is going to take them further, especially when they go into the new set of life, like for college, that sense of uniformity, being able to feel confident. When you look good, you'll play good and you'll feel good. So this grant will really be helpful with them and be very successful for them if they were to be able to be here.
So here we have some photos and highlights of some of the team's accomplishments, be it this season, last season, and again, the amount of support that is poured into the program from the Booster Club, it translates here on the screen. Even as Coach Cal said, taking that burden off of him. Messiah Nickens is our Gatorade Player of the Year for Pennsylvania. Coach Cal won Coach of the Year. They are the 4-time District 3 champion. So all of the things that we do as a Booster Club help to translate to these photos that you see here on the screen and to our young men. We even have some that have scholarships that have signed to play at the collegiate level. We have Elias is making his top 5, I believe, tomorrow, Elias Cope. So, you know, we do a lot. The reward is, as we see, the kids and how they're able to bond and embellish with each other daily.
Do you know what the cost is for one guy's uniform? I have no idea. I mean, you could lie, I mean, no, I
No, it's provided in the grant, but when we did the quote. they did-
27,300 divided by 65, so 41.
Yes, so, I was gonna say the numbers were in the quote, they didn't give us an individual price point for one uniform. It's about $400.
$4. Does the school district provide any support when it comes to uniforms for their teams?
Yes, the school district does. We have 3 different levels. We have our freshmen, we have our JV, and then we have our varsity. So what happens is we normally get, the varsity would get new uniforms, and then their uniforms would get passed down to the JV. And because as you see, the uniforms are extremely expensive for our home uniform and an away uniform.
Is it 7-on-7, is that flag?
No, it's just tag. It's basically tag football. Okay. It's just tag.
How long do your pads last?
Excuse me?
How long do your pads last?
The shoulder pads usually last anywhere from 8 to 10 years. Helmets, they usually have a shelf life of 10 years. Helmets are 10 years and shoulder pads are 8 to 10
Well,
years.
you're constantly upgrading helmets.
Yes, well, ironically, I just sent in our equipment for reconditioning, and we have there's 30 helmets that need to be replaced because they run out. They're at that 10-year mark now where they're no good, so we have to get rid of them and replenish that. So that's the one thing, with football, things is really expensive in terms of, equipment and gear, because there's so many kids as well.
I'm assuming you guys run the concession stand as well. You don't only feed the players, you're feeding the crowd too,
Correct.
right?
That is correct.
That's a pretty good revenue stream as well.
Yes.
Is that, I've got high school kids, right? We had to volunteer and work in those concession stands and stuff. All the parents bring whatever in and different things.
So
That's like herding cats right there. I love it.
Very much so. So our concession stand, I guess the universal staple now is fried chicken.
Yeah.
So we sell fried chicken in our concession stand, and that has truly helped, along with other concession stand items, to bring in revenue to support the team.
You guys have the same 10 volunteers.
Most of the time, yes. Yes. We have the same, Mr. Mills is the only person that cooks the chicken.
And
So-
I'm one of the volunteers.
Yes. So
So we have the recipe.
now the recipe, now I don't even know, it's top secret.
Remember, you're being screened.
One thing I can say about the fried chicken is that I have a lot of people that come to our games from other school districts, and they always talk about our food at concession stand.
Yes.
How much they love it.
Yes.
I hear it all the time.
There's no ordering.
Yes.
Yeah, I told them, come through the gate, come straight to the stand, because the line gets long very quickly.
Yes, it does.
Any other
I
questions?
don't have any questions. I do, my husband is an assistant coach for the Harrisburg Boomers. He is not involved with fried chicken. It's. So you provided some additional funding sources that you're pursuing. Is there a status on those? Like, do you know when you're expecting to get back? How much are you requesting?
Well, the only one that I heard from at the moment was the members first, one that I listed. When I last checked, it does say it's under consideration. That one was for $10,000, just to be able to charter a bus, take the kids to a collegiate football game to gain that experience outside of the area locally. But the other ones, as of now, I do not have one.
Thank you. And then the quotes or information you used to develop the budget, like, do you have documentation for that? So if you got prices for iPads from Best Buy, would you print those out and send those to?
Absolutely.
same with like the vendor quotes for you, if you have written quotes or emails that they sent you.
The quotes were, every quote was provided initially, except, the 717, we can provide like those invoices, because those are like registration fees and they're a flat rate. And then I can provide like a shopping cart quote, and that's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess the question would be, if we're not able to fund at the level of your request, and you are only partially funded, is there something you're looking for?
Like
Is
one
there
of-
priorities? How about that?
Priority? It's all a priority. I know initially when I had conversed with Coach Cal, the initially was the uniforms. Because they are out of everything, they cost the most, and that's immediate. The uniforms, the backpacks, the travel sweats, just that, that continued sense of pride. for the players.
Any other questions? Thank you much. It sounds like I need to go to a Harrisburg.
Absolutely.
Fried chicken on us.
Oh, wait a minute. Remember, we're being streamed.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
But I'm warning you though, I was raised in Virginia, I've had good fried chicken.
No.
Oh.
She's practicing her ballet.
Where's the bar?
On video.
All video.
Is it still asleep?
It is.
Really?
Yes.
You need anything, all right?
A redo.
See that on live stream replay.
You stayed standing, you should be proud of yourself.
Right, yeah. It didn't seem like I was going to.
Oh. Very lucky these people show up here.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Justice Learning Center.
Well,
Hi, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming out, I appreciate you being punctual. You have approximately 15 minutes for your presentation this evening. What I'll do is I'll set a timer for 12 minutes, so if you hear that going off, we need to wrap things up. Additionally, this session is being live streamed, so it's out there, so I believe you received a few questions.
Yes.
So if you could incorporate those in your presentations this evening, I'd be grateful. Whenever you're ready, please identify yourself for the public record, and the floor is yours.
Well, my name is Justice Maddox, and I'm here today for Justice Learning Center. The purpose of me being here today is to tell you a little bit about Justice House Learning Center and what we're trying to do. So we are an extended daycare center that deals from 6:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Monday through Sunday, which is 7 days a week. We work with at-risk youth. We provide working families with a safe and reliable place for their children during non-traditional hours. This helps parents who work late or multiple jobs and struggle to find suitable daycare. We also hire for the older kids a stipend program to empower older children. We offer a stipend program for older children and teens, enabling them to gain work experience on sites to design community-based tasks.
This allowed them to be able to get off the streets and be able to learn responsibility and working with youth that's dealing with trauma. Our facility deals with trauma with children that has been, or family that has been in domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. So we help and educate them to deal with whatever they're going on in their personal life, to be able to get them ready and to be able to have a safe place to be. The purpose of having a program for the teens is to get the kids off the streets because of gun violence. The death of Pennsylvania, especially Dauphin County, has risen within the last 3 years. The death for more teenagers that we are going to funerals have rose over 40%. So we decided to put something together for these kids can have somewhere to go and to be able to learn while they're at a daycare center and provide them with structure. The Learning Center is an education based in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that provides academic and trauma recovery services for children with low-income families, with special focusing on those that are affected by trauma, such as human trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assault. We offer a range of services, including mentorship programs, academic supports, and life skills development. We have been served in Central Pennsylvania since 2023. The purpose of educating tools such as materials and office space for the clients that we are working with. You guys had asked some questions, and I will go over those questions that was given to me at this present time. The one with need assessments and counseling, we're asking one of the questions, how we will be able to identify how many subcontractors that we are looking to hire. So we are looking at 3 subcontractors that will be able to help us to get their learning center to where it needs to be. We are planning to obtain vendors, quotes, and subcontract proposals from the following, the list that I gave out when they asked the questions that I turned in. We are receiving itemized quotes for the following. Reached out to the Caitlin Learning Centers, online registration for the kids, online registration for the tools where we use the STEM curriculum to help the children from K to 6th grade. One of the questions that you asked is how many jobs will be created or preserved as a result of this project. There will be 30 jobs, first shift and second shift, which will be a total of 60 jobs that will be available for people in our community to be able to work in our daycare center. We plan to have 5 subcontractors to handle special projects. That was one of the questions that you guys have asked. And if we're not awarded the funds was one, how do you plan to move forward with the program? So we decided that we would need to scale back on most assisted projects. We will seek additional sponsorships and continue to do fundraising as we are doing now to be able to receive the funding that's necessary to be established for these youth that we are working with in our community. Alongside Justice House of Hope Learning Center, we'll be reaching out to local state grants, Pennsylvania Commission on Crime, Delinquency, Education, Pennsylvania Department of Education is one that we're reaching out to as well. Private foundations, the Foundation of Enhancing Communities. Support for foster children. We noticed that there's a lot of foster kids that are into the system. We have worked with foster care systems with Justice House of Hope. We work with them. We have a contract with Children and Youth and Juvenile Probation through Justice House of Hope, which is dealing with the trauma places. We in partnership with Justice House of Hope, dealing with the Justice House of Hope Learning Center to be able to activate and give those services to the community that we're working with at the present. One of the questions was asked were, we are not currently part of any litigations. Then the next one was fraud and theft funds. There have been no existence of fraud or theft funds with our organization. We maintain internal control and conduct regular financial audits that is done yearly. And then the next question that you guys had asked was letter of support. I did submit a letter of support from 5 different organizations that are supporting us with this project that we're looking to do in our community. We have weekend preparation program for a Saturday pre-apprenticeship program is designed to engage children and teens offering education and recreation of life skills and support them. By offering meaningful alternative to street involvements and weekends, we give youth a constructive, safe environment to learn and grow in their community. We also work with the police departments in putting the guns down, so we'll be able to have our youth into our center to be able to help them to be a part of understanding that their life means more to them than being in a street gang, to give them a positive and a straight place to be in our apprenticeship program, which will be every Saturday for the youth that we are working with. The holistic approach to support mental and emotional well-being, fostering resilience, and addressing the root cause of behavior and academic. If we don't catch the children at a young age, our children comes out in their community without being structured, but not being a part of the learning center, they will be able to be structured and be able to understand why we're giving them the tools that they need to be able to work in the communities that they are living in. And by them living in urban communities and having mostly one parent, we felt as though the learning center will be able to help that parent to be able to give services for the youth. We also was asking for to help the low-income parents with giving them subsidized childcare to help them support their children to be able to come to the center, to be able to use our services. And if they are working non-traditional hours, our center is open, like I stated earlier, 24 hours, 7 days a week, so they will be able to have us there to be able to help them with raising their children. I hate to say that, but most times we leave our kids at daycare or at, places because we have to work and provide for them. And then by us being in a local area that these kids will be able to come to that live in the low income areas, we'll be able to give them services and make sure they have a well surrounding support system and also feeding them. So that will be one part of their program that we do, feed them and also educating them to be able to be more sufficient to be able to come into our community and be positive people instead of hanging on the street, selling drugs, gang banging, and all that. So we believe that the learning center will help them to grow and identify who they truly are and who they can possibly be in their community to be strong individuals. Justice House Hope Learning Center plays in their community and support missions. With your help, we can continue to offer extended hours, life-changing stipend program for teens, specialized weekend preparation program, and comprehensive trauma supporting the families in need. Thank you for considering our request. We look forward to working together to build a stronger, safer, and a more supportive community. Thank you.
This is truly a care center, not any type of a home school situation.
Correct, it's a care center, yes, ma'am.
We have some educational activities and all there, or just?
Everything's one stop, one drop. Educational materials will be there, working from infant all the way up to the 6th grade. And then there's Saturdays for older teens that will be able to come into our community, come into the center to be able to get services, teaching them how to do website designs, teaching them just life skills. A lot of them don't have that tool to do that. It was never taught to their families, so we'll be teaching them how to open a bank account, how to be more responsible in their community.
Wait, does it think of the road says there 1099 subcontractors?
For receiving the grant.
What's the
That-
name of it?
I think we're,
What's no
has
difference?
had grants that
Yeah.
included that.
Yeah. What's it?
You're
No
saying it would
difference
be
in
viewed
hiring
as
an
a
electrician,
salary.
right?
No, I don't think so.
Any other questions?
Yes. Is there a status on the other funding sources that you can find?
Not at this present time, no.
So you don't have dates on when we expect to hear from any of them?
Unfortunately, no, we're still waiting for information back from 2022 for some of the CBD, ED grants that we have put in for, but we have not heard anything yet.
And then in terms of providing quotes or estimates for, costs that you want to pursue as part of the grant program, it is helpful to provide quotes or so if you're looking to purchase computers, even if you, get them from a local retailer, it would be helpful to provide, what you're basing that cost on. So, you know, if you're just going to the website and seeing these HP computers and attendance and the costs, it would be helpful to submit that to work and support the request. Same would go for, you know, your educational materials, furniture, things of that nature. I understand that you have identified potential suppliers, and that you decide which ones you're going with, or you want to provide supporting documentation for those costs, that would be helpful.
Yes, I will do that, thank you.
I think it would be beneficial to like an hourly rate for your 1099, but that therapist would charge so that we know how many hours you're kind of purchasing there. So I think that would help shore it up as well.
Okay, we could definitely do that because that therapist will be coming from Justice House of Hope, so we're trying to merge some things that Justice House of Hope does, be able to help the center out as well. So I think we'll do that.
Any other questions?
I think this extended.
Thank you.
The nursing mother who's a nurse.
Yeah.
Has issues, yeah.
And we do see a lot of fathers are now taking control of their children because of whatever reason, due to different types of trauma, or they're placed in prison or stuff like that. So we've been working with families that are in need of those different types of services.
Thank you much.
Thank you. You have a good day.